Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming. And boy, is that gonna be a spicy one, Dutch. It's gonna be a spicy one. There's so much to talk about. We had more or less breaking news with a big Phil Spencer interview dropping. We had the chance to watch it before the show. We're definitely gonna talk about this entire thing. But first, I want to welcome our amazing community here. I see a lot of familiar names here already in the chat. Chat is filling up. Welcome to you guys, but also a big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on the podcast services around the globe, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Welcome to the World of Gaming, and welcome to you, Dutch. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Yeah. It was a great interview today. I'm looking forward to getting into it. Looking forward to talking about it. There's a lot been happening this week. There's a lot of things to talk about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it all.
Same here, man. Same here. There's so much to talk about. Not just with the interview, honestly. There's many other cool things to talk about this week. So, of course, we will talk about Redfall and everything surrounding that. And we get into the state of Xbox. And, of course, we also will talk about some cool new updates coming to the Xbox ecosystem. We will talk about the Asus Rog Ally. We got some news on mid-gen refresh consoles, Dutch. Definitely gonna talk about that and a lot more. But first, man, I want to hear from you. What have you been playing? Maybe outside of Redfall, because we gotta get into Redfall in just a second, man.
Yeah. So of course Redfall. But other than Redfall, primarily Jedi Survivor. I did play a little bit of the Street Fighter 6 demo as well. That's promising.
Sweet.
Although there was only 2 characters to try. Yes, you could create a character, but I was mainly I used to kind of play semi-competitively on Street Fighter 4, and then before that, it went over to PlayStation 5, Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 1 and things on the old editions. So yeah, I was trying out that, see what it was like. I only managed to get 3 games, and it kicks you off and says thanks for playing the demo. So I could only play 3 rounds, but no, it felt good. It felt a little bit slow. Slower than Street Fighter 4. But it could have just been the fact that it was Ryu, his reactions and the way he moves and things like that. But still feels good, looks really good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to play that when it launches in June as well. June's going to be super busy.
Oh yeah, June.
Super busy.
Super. I mean, come on. With Diablo, of course, but everything else that is gonna come out either in June or mid-end of May. It's gonna be crazy. Man, how are you liking Jedi?
I love it.
You love it? That is awesome. So hang on one second. I need to shout out our community because the chat is filling up quickly today. Really quickly. So quickly. Awesome. Drop in the chat what have you been playing, and we're gonna talk about that, what the community is playing, because there's always some inspiration from the great taste that our community has. So man, now tell us. I'm gonna put some gameplay for Jedi Survivor on very early in the game, so no spoilers here, but yeah.
On top of that as well, by the way, there's another one I'm going to be playing later today, and I implore everybody to try it as well. It got some really great reviews yesterday, and it was shown off in the showcase by Aaron Greenberg. That's Ravenlock.
Ravenlock, man. It's out.
Ravenlock came out today. Really positive reviews across the board from ACG, from Windows Central, Complete Xbox, IGN, you name it. It's doing really well. So I'm looking forward to playing on that. Looking forward to trying that out. I've been looking forward to it. I loved Echo Generation, but unfortunately, a game. No, I wouldn't say it was pretty much a game preventing bug stopped me from finishing that game twice. I got to a certain stage and I couldn't progress, and then I restarted the game, got to the same place, but then one of the characters wouldn't unlock when it had to follow you around and progress the story. As much as I loved the game, I couldn't progress it. So hopefully I'm going to go back to it anyway, Echo Generation. I'm going to see if I can complete that as well, because I did love it. But I left it until there was plenty of patches out for it. So hopefully that's resolved now anyway, but I'm super looking forward to Ravenlock.
Yeah, man, I have downloaded it, but I haven't started yet. I have so many other things I need to play, man.
Literally on the TV at the back at the moment, just waiting to just click start game. So, yeah, other than that, though, Red Jedi is outside, and I understand people are having really bad performance issues across the board.
Yeah.
Still now, even after some patches, some people are super happy, and it's improved their game a lot. And some people are still having really bad problems with it. So I hope for those it gets fixed soon, because the game in itself is tremendous. It is everything I wanted from the follow-up of the game, and more. So much bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Much bigger. Like I was expecting a semi-open world kind of Star Wars Jedi follow-up, but I didn't expect it to be as big as it was. Like, that first planet was huge. I didn't expect it to be as big as it was.
Dude, I don't know how far you are in the game, but the map on that planet is gonna expand if you progress a little further in the story. There are some events gonna happen, not spoil anything, but dude, that first planet is gigantic, man.
Yeah. And it was just everything. Like, the customization has improved tenfold. Like, you're not just stuck with a poncho now. You've got like dozens of outfits you can choose from.
Different
the lightsaber
beards,
customization
hair,
just went through the roof. The BD, you can customize BD now properly, and with like multiple interchangeable parts. And your blaster, you can customize that, and all your different force abilities and sword fighting techniques, and your general kind of life skills and things like that. You can all increase them all, and it's literally everything across the board. What we asked for it was improved significantly.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the traversal, the world itself, the characters, the story. It is just head and shoulders above the first one, and the first one was brilliant. Loved the first one. Loved the story, the first one. And I'm loving the story on this one as well. This one's absolutely fantastic. So
I think
I'm
Cal become my favorite Star Wars character right now. Honestly, he's just so well written. I do really enjoy him, man, as a character. So I can't wait how they gonna continue his story within the Star Wars universe. Even outside of gaming, of course. Let me briefly shout out Drawn TJ, our good friend. He sends in the first super chat of the day. Thank you so much, man. He says, "Hey guys, what's up, everyone? Please hit the like button." Yeah, guys, that would be absolutely awesome. People always tell me I'm not asking enough to hit the like button, but I do not want to interrupt the show all the time for that. But it is really not much effort for you guys just to click there, and it truly helps, especially the little shows out, to just get a little boost in the algorithm. So we would truly appreciate that. And if you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just leave a 5 stars there, or whatever you feel the show is worth. So we would definitely appreciate that, man. Yeah, man, I like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I get the issues with the frame rates. I don't think it has that many bugs, at least not that I have encountered. I mean, there are sometimes, like smaller collision errors or something, but show me a game these days that doesn't have them. Overall, the game runs good. The real problem is the performance, especially in the open areas. And I get that it sucks whenever the performance suffers. It sucks. But you can see if you turn your player, we're streaming here in 1440p and 60 FPS, so you get a pretty good idea in our show what the game really looks and how it performs. This is recorded on the Xbox Series X using the built-in DVR, so you can tell, it runs for the most part very well. And as soon as you get to the open areas, you have these deep frame rate drops. They suck. Honestly, with VRR on, it's very much playable. I get that the issues on PC are significantly worse, but on performance mode on Xbox, for the most part, it runs really well. And in the open areas, yeah, it sucks, but overall, the game is just too good, man. Like you said, everything I can confirm, man. The combat is awesome. I like that you start out with a lot of your abilities from the first game already, so you feel like that badass Jedi from the very beginning, and you're just gonna improve upon that over the game. I really like it. The map has improved significantly. They still have the Metroidvania feeling, but the level design has improved significantly. The story is top notch, man. The cinematics are fantastic. There are some really, really cool action sequences. I don't know if you have been to that planet that is looks like Dune. I can't remember the name of the planet. Where you have the big desert. There's one sequence with a drill. It's incredible, dude. So many cool action set pieces, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. 15 or 16 hours into the game now, and I can absolutely recommend it. So yeah, man. Other than that, I have started The Last Case of Benedict Fox as well. Still super early in, though. Only played I want to say the first hour or so, and I thought, okay, man, I need to finish Jedi first because I want to give Benedict Fox the full focus, the full Boxenberger focus, because that game is incredible, man. I loved what I played in the first hour, and so I had to pause that because it is really good. And then, of course, we played Redfall. But let's talk about that in a second. I need to first shout out Drawn TJ again, who sends in another super chat of $5. He says, I'm kind of tired of Twitter and Xbox podcasts, the doom and gloom people hating Phil Spencer. If it wasn't for him, there would be no Xbox. Yeah, man. I mean, we're going to get into the Phil Spencer interview in a second, but there's definitely no denying that Phil Spencer took Xbox over when they were at their low point after the launch of the Xbox One. And if you look over the course of the last decade, he's almost in charge for a decade now. He's done so many great things to console gaming. He introduced back compat that was not there on consoles in any way, shape, or form. He introduced the ecosystem approach, play anywhere, which is awesome for us gamers. He introduced Game Pass, of course. He launched the first console generation ever with 2 tiers, Xbox Series S and X. I think he's done a lot of revolutionary things, and he definitely deserves praise for that. And honestly, the interview today was brutally honest. And we talk about that later, man. We talk about that later. But let's see what our community has been playing, man. So I see Casual K. He's playing Resident Evil Village. Nice, man. And says he's late. Yeah, we can be late to games, man. That's a good thing. They don't expire. RSJ fan says Call of Duty multiplayer, but wants to play Ravenlock, man. Good stuff. Thresh is playing Resident Evil 4 for the first time. I do hope you play the remake, because that was incredible, man. That was incredible. So what else do we have here? People are playing, of course, Pyramid. It refers also to Star Wars. This is awesome, man. So yeah, Valentone asks if I didn't play Age of Empires this week. I played, of course, Age of Empires. Still struggling though in this season, man. People have become so good. Chargasm has finished Dead Island 2. And then he wants to play Redfall, of course. So yeah, and Pyromat says, please try out Blast Blue Cross Tag. Even if just a single player, its light novel story is full of levity and humor, and he played it last week. And he's not even a 2D fighter fan anymore. I've seen a few shots on Twitter, but not heard anything. So if you recommend it, man, I need to look into that. That's a good stuff. Luke Goddell is playing Zelda Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. The 3DS version on his phone. Dude, I love Ocarina of Time. I think Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past are probably the best Zeldas ever made. So, yeah, man. Phantom Sir finally completed Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I think the community has just such a good taste. So, shout out to you guys.
And Luke's just picked up Nier Automata. That is an even better taste.
Yeah. Sorry if I missed someone. Aditya Kumar is playing some Fallout 3 for the 101st time. You can never go wrong with that. That's a classic, man. I
see you're having trouble with some of this wall running section here.
At the beginning, yeah, man. I didn't realize you had to push the jump button again when you hit the wall. But once you figure that out, it works.
I can feel your frustration coming through there.
Yeah, man.
I can just see you sitting there going, where am I meant to go? Where am I meant to go?
Yeah. I mean, that's still the tutorial section, right? If people want to laugh at that, okay, man. Okay, guys, that's fine. So, and by the way, right, today is Star Wars Day, so happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, gentlemen.
And also with you.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, now that we also played, of course, Redfall. And I think a lot of people in the chat also played that, so let us know. What are your thoughts? So, Dutch, before I give my thoughts, let us hear yours. What do you think about Redfall? Where do you stand with the game, man?
Right. And I'm brutal honesty, because I've spoken to people that work at Arcane as well, and I've said this. I've said the same things to them. But honestly, it is. It tries so many things, but it masters none. It tries to be a co-op game, but it doesn't master it. It tries to be a single-player game, but it doesn't master it. It tries to be a looter shooter, but doesn't quite master it. It tries to be an FPS, but doesn't quite master it. The story is essentially, unless you find the pages and you find the logs and things like that, it's almost non-existent. You kind of get little clips at the end of a chapter or before you start a mission or after you finish a mission, but in between it, there's not really anything there unless you literally go finding it. And if you have a look at them, and I always look at things through not just my eyes, but through what casuals and mass market would do, and a lot of them wouldn't bother to go out and try and find loads of different pages and logs and read them all to understand what's going on with the story. So the story is pretty much non-existent unless you search for it. So I don't think that's done very well. Saying that, the console version is not great. It is not great. The texture filtering's terrible. The LODs are shocking. The level of detail and when that loads in is horrific. The frame rate is all over the place, even on console, and that's only got quality mode at the moment. You can't really call it quality mode because the quality's terrible.
That's so true, man. That's so true.
The graphical style is outdated. To
say the least, man.
And it's not supported. The problem is as well is it also doesn't help that the LODs, the glitches, the bugs, the texture issues, the texture streaming issues, none of that helps in making the game look great. Like the amount of issues they've got with the textures and the LODs is also really not helping, because the game doesn't look fantastic anyway. It looks okay, but it doesn't look great. And with these added issues that they've got on top of it, it makes it look even worse. Saying that, I've also played it on PC. It looks 10 times better on PC. It runs so much better on my card anyway. It runs 10 times better. Like epic settings, it runs flawless between 70 and 75 frames on mine, and I've got a 3060. Full epic settings, runs beautifully.
And what
Still a couple of lot issues. 1440.
1440. Okay.
With DLSS on.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've got a 1080 screen. So on the laptop, but I don't use the monitor for that. I just use the screen, because the screen's 144 hertz, the monitor's 120 hertz, so it makes more sense to play it on the monitor. But yeah, so it was it was for me on PC a much better experience. And even then, even though there was still a lot of issues, they were nowhere near as bad as they were on console. You can't be releasing a game in that state. You can't, and that was a state as well. I fully think that was a state that the console released in that they would absolutely have noticed before launching the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
no way you have not seen this coming.
And people didn't see that. Yeah. It's not a case of like a multiplayer game where you load it and you go, oh, I wonder what's going to happen, and then deal with the server issues or anything like that afterwards. Absolutely not. Like some of those things, you go, okay, I can understand it's a big multiplayer game, but on this one, no, definitely not. The issues that you're having have got nothing to do with the co-op, the multiplayer, or anything in between. This is absolutely something that should have come up in QA before it launched. It should have done. Should never have released in that stage. And they've got a lot of work to do. Saying that, even if they patched all that stuff, sorted out the performance, and got it to an average level, the game in itself has issues. The AI is fundamentally broken. It's dumb as hell. AI does not know what it's doing, where it is. It'll shoot at the wall like stormtroopers. In fact, stormtroopers are actually more accurate than the AI on Redfall. They're you're muted, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's true, and those stormtroopers are really dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Outside of that, as I mentioned before, the game in itself lacks direction. It doesn't. It has so many systems, but doesn't. None of them are completely mastered. It's got like a looter shooter system, but that's kind of crap. Like it's got in-game stores, but they're useless. It's pointless because you pick up better weapons than you can buy in the stores. So what's the point in having the stores? And you pick up so many weapons from enemies of varying sizes and qualities and things like that, and there's so many chests you can loot that the stores become null and void. So what's the point in the shop? And they only carry like 1 or 2 weapons, so they're pointless.
They all were worse than the stuff you already found like 10 times over in the world. Yeah.
And then you've got the supply crates that drop, and you've got different supply crate missions and things like that, and the loot in them are terrible, so it makes that pointless. And then you go to another one, and they're like, "Oh, this is like 2 helicopters, or you fire it up in the sky, and then 2 more supply drops." And you go on, and it's like surrounded by enemies who are all equally as dumb. And you eventually open that crate, which is locked on both sides. You unlock those, and the loot in that's crap as well. And still haven't replaced the weapons that I found at the beginning from normal crates, because everything else has been terrible. So it doesn't it makes the whole looting thing just pointless, because you're going to find loads of weapons.
Yeah.
The loot that you find in chests crap. And it, even then, I unlocked the ultimate ability for the character within the first hour of playing the game, and that makes the entire thing a cakewalk. Because the ultimate ability for Jacob is one-shot headshots that auto-aims on the head.
Then I have chosen the wrong character, man. I went with Devinder or Divinder. How do you pronounce that? Divinder?
Devinder, yeah.
Devinder.
Yeah, Devinder.
Yeah. I went with him. But man, I do agree with you. I think we need to separate two discussions here. The one is, of course, the technical issues, and the other one is the discussion around the game design. And I want to jump in on the game design for a second, but let me give my thoughts on the technical aspect of the game as well. So I started the game on Series X. I think like many, I thought I wait till the 60 FPS patch came out, but then I decided, well, man, I want to be part of the conversation to see how the game is, and that was before I read any or seen any reviews. So I booted it up, and honestly, in the first hour, the game crashed like, I want to say 3 or 4 times on me. So it was impossible to record gameplay. That's why we don't have gameplay here today. And then I read online that a lot of people had that issue and you just need to reboot the console. So I did that, and actually then the game did not, at least it didn't crash anymore. So, okay. And then I played it, of course. And on Xbox Series X, honestly, I wish I could speak a little bit more positive about the stuff around Xbox lately, but this was really bad. It looked like, honestly, like a 360 game max, and that's a compliment. And the textures. Then I realized, okay, dude, it's not because the texture quality is bad, but it's that they don't load in. So if you stand still for 30 seconds and wait until everything has loaded in, you can get great screenshots. Yes.
After we'd finished playing and recording that little section of the fire station, we looked at that badge for what would have been at least 30 to 45 seconds. And eventually at the end, pop! I was like, hey
there it is. There it is. So that's really bad. Then, the enemies, I had so many bugs that really annoyed me. Like, enemies suddenly turned invisible, but they were obviously still there, were shooting at me and stuff like that. Then I got stuck in like trees, and I got stuck in fence or something. And man, I had to reboot the game multiple times because like game breaking bugs and the 30 FPS just feel awful. I mean, coming off of Jedi Fallen Order, which is obviously not having great performance either. Yeah. At least I get, for the most part of the game, because the most part of the game is not in Jedi, is not in the open areas. I get the 60 FPS, and I get that smooth feeling, and then I come to a shooter, and shooters at 30 just it does not work, man. It just feels not good. So then I tried the same on PC like you did. I switched over. I have obviously a 3080. So I maxed everything out at native 4K with DLSS on, though. And I got like always above 70 frames. And then I thought, man, if that runs like this on the PC, and then I looked at my utilization, because I didn't hear my air vent of my PC didn't even turn on. I looked, and it was like 10% GPU utilization and like nothing on the CPU, 20 or 25% on the CPU. And that is the game running at 30 at full 4K maxed out settings. So obviously it's not that taxing. And then of course the game looks a lot better. You still have a lot of pop in, like, objects, cars, trees, stuff, all of that just pops in.
Yeah, I had like a lot of shimmering issues as well. I don't know whether or not you did, like light shimmering and like from the trees and things, and like shadows. There was a lot of shimmering issues.
I did see that. I'm not sure if that's DLSS artifacts or not, but yeah, those were there. So, but for the most part, it looked a lot better.
Yeah.
It looked at least like an Xbox One generation game. So, the character models are really not good, and there's literally no. You know that the advertisement trailers had better cutscenes than the actual game. It's like,
Yeah.
dude. So from a technical standpoint, on PC, it's very much playable. I didn't have any game-breaking bugs. I had some annoying pop-in stuff like that, but for the most part, it's playable, definitely. Yeah. But on console, it feels like literally no. Don't waste your time there. I've seen a lot of people enjoying the game, though. I will never stand here and tell people what to enjoy and not to enjoy. I can only.
We'd never do that either, Boxy. We're not like that. If you're enjoying the game, then go and enjoy it, and let nobody else tell you otherwise. Just enjoy it. That's fine. Me and Boxy played a segment of. Well, we played co-op. Primarily to see what the co-op was like, of course, on Series X.
So we played for 1.5 or 2 hours or so. In co-op, exactly.
And we have to talk about those missions. Dear God,
yeah, this is something we have to separate now, because the one thing is technical discussion, and the other thing is like the actual game design thing, and it's. By the way, BitCloud in the chat is asking if I beat the main story. No, I did not. I did not finish the main story. I played solo 2 hours on console, and I played about 2 hours co-op with you, and I played another 2 hours on PC.
So we're both around the 6-7 hour mark.
7 hour mark, and honestly, I'm now done with the game because it's not good. It's just not good. I love, you guys know, I love Far Cry games, open world games. But this is just an empty open world. There's literally nothing in there. The story is literally non-existent, and told in a very bad way. You have to read all the lore. But it just isn't there. You already mentioned the AI. Just not fun. And when you talk about the actual mission design, man, this is not how you design open world missions.
Do you want to go to another basement? Do you want to go to another basement?
Exactly, man.
Can we go to a basement?
You
want to go to a basement?
You have to fill in our listeners, man. They don't get that joke.
But saying that, though, we will talk about that, because that highlighted the lack of creativity in the mission design. It really did. When we're talking about the gameplay itself, and why I believe on a fundamental side, even if they fix the game's bugs and issues, at best it's going to be an average multiplayer game that you can just jump on for a little bit of silly shooting with your friends. And people are saying that they're having fun playing the co-op segment, and to that I have to say, I'm glad you're having fun. However, 9 times out of 10, when you're playing a multiplayer game, you're going to have fun with your friends, regardless of what it is. I could have fun playing one of the worst games ever on a multiplayer game if I'm with friends, because we can just laugh and make jokes, even if it's about the game. We're going to be having fun. Like 9 times out of 10, if I'm in a party with friends, we're going to have fun playing the games, no matter how good or bad they are. So I don't think that's a thing on Redfall saying, oh, no, but it's good on co-op. To be fair, 9 times out of 10, when you're playing co-op games, even if they are bad, you tend to be having some kind of fun. So I don't think that's kind of a positive note to it. And again, for those who are enjoying it, I'm glad you are. But the mission designs, and me and Boxy noted this when we were playing, were just shocking. We collected a film reel, or we had to go to a place to collect a film reel, and that was in a basement. So we got the film reel from the basement, and then we went to another place, and that was in the basement. So we went into another basement to collect the keys from that place, and then we had to go to some guy's house. And in that guy's house, we had what felt like 400 fetch quests.
Yes.
So we had to go and get a key, and then find 3 dolls, and then And then after we'd done that, we had to go and put the dolls in the dollhouse and then collect another key and then search for something else in the house and then find another echo
Yeah.
and then find another key. And then ultimately, when we thought it was okay, we've got this mad room where the scientist was. We're going to get a boss battle.
Yeah.
End. End of mission. Return to fire station.
It is super boring mission design, man. Very repetitive. No inspiration. No nothing. You don't even understand why you're supposed to collect all the stuff you need to collect. And whenever you're lost in the game, just go to the basement and you will find the solution right there. Like literally in every mission where we were lost and did not know what to do, just go to the basement and you will find the solution. And that's why it became such a joke. By the way, BitCloud is joining us in a second. He was in the chat and he wants to join in on the convo, so I just sent him a link. That's awesome. We haven't talked to him in a bit, man. So
yes.
It's awesome that he's gonna join us. Let me shout out briefly Sith Lord, who sends in a channel member chat for being a member for 9 months, man. Thank you so much for the outstanding support. He says, "May the 4th be all with you." Awesome, man. May the 4th be with you too, man. Indeed. So yeah. Now. The real question is, and we get to that later as well when we talk about Phil's big interview. The question is, and I've seen this, man, online, is how could Xbox have released the game in such a state? Because, like you said, this is no bugs that you did not see coming. So these bugs and issues of the game did not come as a surprise. You knew that your game has issues and you launched it anyway. So, man, what do you think? What happened over there at Xbox? Why did they launch or release the game in such a way?
Plain and simple, it was just lack of quality control, and Microsoft absolutely did not get involved in this at all. From a quality control standpoint.
Yeah.
They should have done, and they didn't. And we'll get more into that in a little bit because we've had some honest conversations from Phil, which we'll cover in a little bit. But they didn't get involved. The QA clearly wasn't done on this one. The testing clearly wasn't done. And I don't know who signed off on releasing the game in that state. We'll never know.
We've seen different theories. We've seen different theories out there that it was all on ZeniMax and that Xbox didn't want to step in, and we've seen other things as well.
From a different from one standpoint, if you've got a studio which has historically released great games or released good games, and they've all released in a good state, you're not really going to have a concern about them before a launch because you think they've done this before, they're versed on how this works, they know how to put out a good game, so we're not concerned about them. And then they release it and it's not, and then they think, right, we shouldn't just automatically assume everything's rosy. We should check in on it. And I think that is the situation here. They assumed everything was great based on their track record, but you can't always fall back on that. And I think that's a huge learning lesson for Microsoft.
That is true.
That is fall back on being great in the past means you're definitely going to be great going forward. You're only as good as your previous day, essentially. And unfortunately, it's not been rosy for Xbox recently, and the output hasn't been great. So naturally, people are going to be nervous about things going forward, and it hasn't done them any favors.
It's so true. It's so true, man. Honestly, I had a conversation with Mav, our good friend. I actually wanted, after having that conversation, we had that in our private DMs, and after that I asked him if he wants to join today, but he had to work, unfortunately. But shout out to Mav, by the way, and happy birthday, brother. He turned 40 yesterday, man. The big 4-0. That's gonna happen to me this July, so yeah. But we had a conversation about, you know what the worst thing about this entire thing is? and what scared me is that someone at Xbox thought it's okay to launch the game this way. This is the scariest part. That you look at this game and say, okay, I think that is a good game that's gonna launch. And because for Xbox, they put relatively big marketing behind it. They had these amazing edited trailers. Those have not been cheap, man. They are expensive. They had like advertisements in we've seen like suburbs, subways where you have like murals on the wall and stuff like that. So for Xbox, they had a relatively big marketing budget behind that, and so someone at Xbox thought, okay, this is gonna be an awesome game, man. And that's the scary part. That's really the scary part. But let me shout out Drawn TJ, who sends in another $2 super chat and says the game needed a year delay, and I do agree there. And you're fully spot on. It needed a year. 2-3 months wouldn't have cut it or made a big impact, because with that you can iron out a few bugs. But as we talked about, there are fundamental design issues around the game, and I don't think you can fix those in a few months. You need at least a year. TJ, you're right, man. You're right. So yeah, let us see what the community thinks about Redfall. I'm gonna close our poll that we have opened up in the chat. How do you guys like Redfall? Is what we asked. So 38% said they haven't played it yet. 29% said it's even worse than pineapple on pizza. 27% said it's mediocre, and 4% say it's great. So obviously, for the most part, people either haven't played it or are not super happy with the game. But that's the thing. At its core, it could have been a good game. I mean, open world game, co-op, vampires. I like vampires, man. We get zombies all the time. We don't get vampires too often. Arcane has a great track record for the most part. So there could have been, Far Cry formula. That could have been a good game. So yeah, it's a little shame, man. So Tom from Toonami sends in $5 and says, you can see Phil's face. He had a meeting where there was probably a come to Jesus moment. Man, I want to use that statement as a segue, and let's talk about the big Phil Spencer interview. Oh no, we have to first welcome our guest, BitCloud, our spontaneous guest, man. Awesome that you join us here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm here for the Dutch's beard. Give me that beard, sir. You have to go. I think I lost. Jesus Christ, I think I lost. What's going on?
So, how you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How y'all doing? It's been a minute. We talked.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, indeed. So that's awesome that you just joined so spontaneously. So we were just on the Redfall conversation. So did you have the chance to play it, and what did you think about it?
So I streamed it on the channel. Y'all know me. I give a game a shot before I critique it to oblivion. So we did stream it. I lasted about an hour and 20 minutes, and then I quickly uninstalled live on the live stream. But here's the wild part. So you guys are talking about the issue that you were running into during the co-op. I played it in single player. What if I told you the game crashed on me and it disconnected from the server while I'm in single player?
That's what happens if you have like forced online, right?
That's wild. Aside from that, what surprised me, I think you guys nailed it. You guys nailed everything. When you guys said just how the state of the game looked. I was more shocked by the fact that there were so many unfinished textures.
Yeah,
how little effort was put into the detail.
Yeah.
And just the fact how a lot of things were just poorly executed. Like there's no actual cutscenes in the game. Basically, if you guys want cutscenes, it's basically the same as what you guys remember GTA 4's loading screens? That's literally how the cutscenes are in this game.
Yeah.
It's shot for shot, just like that.
Yeah.
And it was weird because at the start of the game, it starts you on the boat. After the boat, and you do your first mission, then you're introduced to the world. Like they give you like this introduction to the world. I'm like, that was a weird way to start it. Why not just do that to begin with and then transition there, And we're talking about the world. It's so barren.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's not much to really do, It's like they don't explain it at all really well. You're just going from point A to point B. I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to go in this. It's wild to me because you hear vampires, right? This is a cool concept. I think we all would have been on board if it was done properly. It's a cool concept. Have you guys seen that movie? It's called Vampires. It has John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yes.
Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would take that concept of a movie. That right there by itself would be a badass game if done right. This is their opportunity. This could have been their opportunity to do something like that.
I just said it to Dutch. We have zombies all the time, man. We have zombies all the time. I like the concept of a good vampire game. Yeah. And
absolutely. Just like you have zombie games so much. I would like dinosaurs. I would love the different varieties here. But it's crazy that there was no real design choice behind this. Like, for example, when you're shooting the zombies, you can't just melee them to kill them. You have to switch to a heavy weapon that conveniently has a stake on it. Why don't you just have a stake in your hand?
Yeah.
I don't get that. It's just weird. Aside from that, let's just get into the AI. The AI felt like, how do I go about this AI? That's right. No, it was a pain, but the AI in this game is very bad. Like I'm talking, there was points in the game where like the vampires were like going through the rocks and like just floating around, not moving, and then like staring at me, not doing anything. You have okay, they talk like there's like a stealth mechanic in this game. There's no stealth mechanics in this game. It's just a weird.
There's no requirement for stealth. There's no need for it.
At the very beginning, when you step out in the open world for the first time, they actually give you a hint like, oh, you can stealth your way around the enemies or just go heads on. And I was like, okay, I was sneaking up on the enemy and there's no stealth kill option. I was like, what? Yeah. So you just run around guns blazing all the time.
Yeah. So you have two melee animations. You got like the, like the big elbow or gun thing. And then you got the punch. The punch, ironic. I don't know if y'all remember. Y'all remember 007 Nightfire? That melee is the exact same. That is the exact same from Nightfire. There's
that was during the 360 generation, right? And PS3 generation.
Xbox One, the original Xbox Nightfire.
OG. It was
Xbox
still on the OG.
Yeah. But again, I'm more surprised again, like you guys said, that it launched in this. I mean, I can understand a game being mediocre. I can understand a game just, probably not hitting. But for a game to have that, like, less of quality, and this is on a console that you advertise that can destroy PCs.
Yes.
This is your go-to box that you have said that, it's going to be the option. It's going to be the answer. Xbox fans deserve better than this.
Absolutely.
They do. They've been absolutely patient. Like I've had conversation with you guys. You see in the chat, and sometimes the chat will look at me like, "Oh, what is this guy talking about?" I mean, listen, I get it. You guys, you guys want to wait. You guys want to be, positive. But the thing is, at what point are you going to just sit there and look at what you're being offered and go, "Damn, I think it's time to speak up," type of thing. Remember how like I always pick this point with you guys when we talk. I go, it wouldn't hurt if Microsoft was a part of certain conversations. I'm not saying copy, but be a part of the conversation. Superhero games. Your counter to Uncharted. Your counter to Horizon. Have different games, different ideas out here. It would help drastically if you had that type of plethora of games. And I understand a lot of people like, oh, I like my console for this, and that's fine. You can like it for that, but again, you can't refute that there is clearly a problem here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big problem.
Absolutely.
You
And I
know?
think that's what we see right now. When we see both sides, we still get the people that try to defend and just make it, it's ZeniMax's fault, it's this fault, or whatever. And then we have people that are frustrated with Xbox. And then we have the other extremes that, of course, make it all doom and gloom. But the for the most part, I see a lot of criticism these days on around Xbox. And like you said, the thing is, it's not about Redfall per se. I said the same thing when they announced that it's not gonna have the 60 FPS, and everybody was mad. I said it's not about Redfall not having 60 FPS. It's about the consistent letdowns and disappointments that Xbox fans had over the years. Yeah.
Ultimately, I think a lot of people in the community don't seem to realize it's the reason we're speaking so vocally on this. And I've seen some real yo-yoing by certain people in the community who claimed it was one thing and are now kind of trying to make up for it by overdoing it on the bad side.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to mention names by names, but I think people can see some of them.
Yeah.
But you have to realize the reason people are going so hard on them now is because it isn't just Redfall. It's not just one thing. If it was just Redfall, it would be nowhere near.
That's the thing.
Understandable.
If they would have delivered on their promise of that quarterly big AAA game that they promised, and then one of those games came out and just didn't hit, that would be like a 2-day conversation. Okay, this isn't it, and then bam, over. But the thing is, if we look at this gen, if we look at this gen, BitCloud, you said it. They promised us to have the most powerful console, and so far, PCs with significantly less powers run a lot of those games better.
We'll start at the beginning of the generation where it started. At the beginning of the generation, the Xbox Series launch, they missed the Halo Infinite launch, which got pushed into the next year, which was meant to launch with a console. So they launched with no first-party games.
Yep.
Yeah.
They went into the next year. They kind of made up for it. It had a better year, but it was primarily on the delayed games. Yeah, it was a good 2021. 2022, straight back down to earth. Absolutely zero first-party releases.
Yes.
All third-party. And then we go into 2023. And we have
arguably one of the worst launches.
Only 2 of the games that were in the 12-month window from Xbox specifically, being Minecraft Legends and Redfall, have actually achieved the 12-month window.
Yeah. And those are outside of Redfall. Minecraft isn't the one that. Sorry for interrupting real quick. The thing really is, Minecraft is not what our community, the core gaming community, wants. So we were looking for to Redfall, Forza, and Starfield, and out of those 3, only one hit the 12-month window. And granted, Hi-Fi Rush was an amazing surprise.
Yeah, that was a nice stealth release. That was good. That's a game that built good faith. It was a nice, good faith building game. Like a nice, okay, hey guys, you think you gotta wait for this? No, it's available now.
Yeah,
that was a good stealth release, and it was good. But if we're going by like what's advertised, like the main thing they've been pushing, Redfall was one. Now we have, I think Starfield, right? Starfield this year.
September,
you know what I don't like? And I know you guys are gonna agree, because I find this to be terrible too. I don't like that this game has so much pressure on it now, even more pressure. I really don't like it. I really don't, because Todd Howard, I don't know if y'all saw the interview. He basically said he was okay with 30 FPS.
Yes.
So that alone is going to immediately sour a lot of people on this game going in it, for one. Number two, it has to work. It cannot launch in the state. Redfall, it has to work. It has to legit work.
Exactly, and that's the thing. The pressure now is even bigger on every game that comes out. Yeah, because even one good game is not gonna rectify everything. It's not gonna change the needles suddenly, because the problem always has been consistency. Of course, Xbox has released good games over the last 2 decades. Occasionally, but then they have these dry streaks, and And that's the frustrating part about this. And now we finally, after, can you imagine that Halo Infinite was the last major AAA game that they released 1.5 years ago? And then the next AAA release was supposed to be Redfall, and it comes out in this state. And this is just the frustration, around the community here. But let me briefly shout out TronTJ, who says, Phil Spencer, hire Boxenberger and Dutch and BitCloud. So first of all, thank you for the super chat and thank you for the compliment. I've said this, BitCloud, I've said this many times. This is not just about Xbox.
No,
I would definitely.
This is a big problem.
One thing I want to work for one of these gaming companies at some point, honestly, because I would love to see what is so different about game development than other products. Yeah, I've worked in the semiconductor industry, I've worked in the automotive industry, I've worked in different industries, and they have products that are just as complex as a video game, if not more complex. And we see a lot of issues, not just within Xbox these days, but with a lot of publishers. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order is which is one example. There have been Jedi Survivor, pardon me. And
great game, by the way.
Awesome game. That's why I have the footage here up on screen. Yeah. But we've seen troubled releases all the time and delays and stuff. And I want to know what is so special about that. A lot of people work in different industries and they have deadlines, they have quality gates they need to meet. And I've had this conversation this week on Twitter. That I sometimes do have the feeling that a lot of these studios put like good developers in charge, but the best programmer or the best story writer or the best, I don't know, artist whatsoever is not necessarily the best manager. Those are two different skills, and there are certain methods in how you manage complicated projects. You just need to look into the project management methods and processes that are, for instance, used in I don't know, in the space industry. If you want to build a rocket, if you want to build a car, if you want to build other complex products, there are certain methods and processes in order to ensure quality in time and within certain budgets. And it's just my suspicion that I do have the feeling that the industry, not just Xbox, but a lot of other studios as well, could benefit if they look into more like managing methods and processes in how you handle complex projects.
You need, like, I mean, this goes back to what I've said to you guys again. Like, it's always been quality control. That's always been their issue. It's quality control. They need someone. I mean, again, I would have loved personally they have like a community overview type of team, like some people in the community that they send some of these games to see. Hey, they give the feedback. Hey, listen, this ain't it, Chief. Or this looks good. This looks good. And then they green light the releases. Something like that. There needs
I think they're super. You know what the problem is there, though, is I think they're super, and especially as we know recently with the likes of these big influencers that love to leak stuff, is that people are not afraid to break NDAs now. So they will go out of their way to just leak that stuff everywhere. That's a Zelda lead, Tears of a Kingdom leaked this week. The entire ROM is now available, and they tracked it down to a specific influencer that got a review copy. Dude. Yeah,
don't get me started with Last of Us.
Yes,
I remember that. That was one of the that was one of the worst leaks of all time.
Absolutely,
he gave you the script, he gave you the cutscenes, the gameplay. I'm like, dude, no, some of these dudes they love that. They want that 15 seconds of fame, but they don't realize you're hurting everyone in the process by doing this, and it really shows. And I'm not going to sit here and say Game Pass is a problem, because we all can agree Game Pass is great. Game Pass is great, but I really do think they really kind of need to take a few steps back in terms of like how they like shoehorn these games in here without running them through the trench, like running them through the process. Does this game run? Does it look good? Will it be presentable? You can't drop a game and say, hey, I'm going to fix it later.
Yes.
No.
No.
We learned
the
that with
fix it later
Halo.
mentality needs to go.
Yeah.
That needs to die. That needs to die
Exactly.
immediately, because
Exactly.
it's like, especially when you have the most powerful console, this is your bread and butter. Well, not your bread and butter, but this is your main thing. You're going about it. People want to be wild. Let's just put it like that. People want to be wild with these gaming consoles, and it's insane that Sony has just one game that they need to show, and they're going to show it, and they're already getting ready to start their market for it. They said the comic book they're dropping for it is free, Spider-Man.
Yes.
But again, people are excited, they're anticipated for it, they're hyped for a showcase. It breaks my heart that I don't see this for Xbox. I mean, I don't see that type of excitement.
Yeah, we've seen the marketing problem, or the non-existing marketing as a problem for a while. We've spoken about this on the show multiple times. That this is definitely, you can have the best product whatsoever. If you don't tell people that it exists, it's gonna stay that way. Yeah. And that's
how you guys feeling about the build? I mean, it cuts you up. Do y'all think so? I had like a theory that's been going on. I don't know if you would agree, Touch, but so Code Eastwood's been getting a lot of flack. A lot of people been getting a lot of flack because they got to play it early. Redfall. Do y'all think possibly that was a separate build versus what we got here?
I mean, they played it on PC.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people, and I've said this about influencers consistently recently, and especially ones that are given the opportunity to go into it.
Yeah.
A lot of them these days are far too scared on losing their status with Xbox and Microsoft and their good faith that they would rather be false positive about a title that's coming up than tell the truth.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that's come to that stage, but we've seen a lot of them go, oh, yeah, this wasn't the build we played. We know the build you played was also not great. I know that for a fact. But the build that they played was not great. But they false positive spoke about it. It come to the point now where they are doing a complete U-turn and saying, "Oh, well, what we played wasn't great, and the release is absolutely unforgivable," and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, no, you've got to you can have it one of both ways. You've played what was available to you at that point. You knew it wasn't great. You should have spoken it then. Right. You can't now turn around and say, no, like what I played was entirely different. It wasn't entirely different. It's not like what you played is not in any controlled setting is not going to be magically better than what we got now. It isn't.
Yeah.
There is no way that version that you played was a better version than what is released.
That's what I'm saying. It's so spooky, like the whole thing. I'm like, oh, you mean to tell me that the game is because obviously it had to have been the exact same. It had to. It had to be the exact. It had
you know what the thing is as well, though, and I want to kind of add to it as well. The thing is I don't understand why some of these people are so scared of being truthful to these guys, because having spoken to Aaron and a number at Xbox over the years, and obviously friends with them, they prefer honesty and truth and telling you exactly what your concerns are and what your problems are than just lying to them. Even King David's mentioned it numerous times where he's had face-to-face discussions with Phil, and he said, no, I want you to tell me the truth. I don't want you to sugarcoat it. Like,
I don't want you to. Right, exactly.
And this is what influencers don't get. Like, you don't have to just go out there and say this is shit, because that isn't constructive.
Yeah.
What influencers need to do is be constructive in their criticism. Okay, what I played was this, and this, and it isn't great. And these are the reasons why it wasn't great. And this is what they need to do to rectify this issue before the game launches. They need to be constructive and constructive.
I've seen a few of those. I've seen a few of those come out now afterwards and say like, I thought they're gonna fix those bugs. That's why I didn't tell about them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why not say that in your preview? I had a lot of bugs, but there's still time to fix it. Let's hope they do it. That is
Dude,
it's a thing.
It's so crazy. And now that I really think about it, Dutch, now that we just highlighted that. Since they knew, clearly they knew, right, about the whole thing leading up to it, but they still ran with the group who were like slandering IGN when they were doing the gameplay preview. Y'all remember that? And they were sitting trying to say, "Oh, the media is trying to do this, that, and third." It's like, dude, no, that's your opportunity to come clean.
Yes.
On the whole thing.
True.
Like, there is an issue here. You need to be upfront with everybody here. And again, I'm not knocking nobody's hustle. Nobody's knocking anybody's hustle. We get it. You know, it's an opportunity of lifetime. You getting flown out there, trying out something, you know, everybody get a sure, that's cool. But at what cost?
At what
you know what I'm saying? At what cost? You're not going to have a box in the future.
They're so concerned. They're so concerned about being blacklisted for being critical of a company that they won't speak out about it. But you have to. This is the one thing that people don't get. The only way you get blacklisted from a company is if you repeatedly criticize them without providing any should we say constructive criticism. If you're just going out and attacking them. Like physically just saying the developers are terrible and they just don't know what they're doing and they're horrific and the blah, blah, blah.
If you insult, lie, or just disingenuinely criticize them.
The difference between critiquing and
that's
just
when
being
you get blacklisted. You will never get blacklisted from a developer, no matter how bad you think it is. You will never get blacklisted if you are constructively critical about it. And you're just honest. If you're constructively critical and just say, listen, guys, like the way ACG does it, like this is the issue and this what needs fixed. This is the issue. This is what needs fixed. This is the issue. This is what needs fixed. I can't see a way for them to do X, Y, and Z. However, if they were to do this, they would need to do X, Y, and Z. That's how you do proper criticism of something, and you shouldn't be afraid to do that because none of these companies will blacklist you if you are going about things in the right way. And they're not going to. You're not going to not be friends with them if you just tell the truth, because that's ultimately all they want.
That's true.
Is for you to
I got some stories for y'all for this. Like everything he said is on point. Like I remember I was very critical of Returnal. I think I told you guys the story, and I interviewed the sound engineer, the sound engineer of this. But the funny thing about it, he was watching my live stream, me struggle in the damn game, and apparently the guys in the office were laughing at that I was doing, and they was like, "Hey, dude, we'll come through," and we talked about the whole thing. I'm saying. You can be critical about something. You can absolutely tell a company what needs to be fixed.
See, actually, that's why I turned away from the bigger media outlets because I felt like creators, smaller creators, especially on YouTube and other social channels, have that benefit that they can honestly speak about their personal opinions. So that's.
But I think it's just a false idea that some of these larger publications have, that they don't think that they can honestly and critically provide feedback to a company without being blacklisted. So they don't. And then when they do, they think, okay, that's it, that's us done. We're never going to get review codes, and that's not the fact. Like the only way to be critical is to be constructive. And I think the issue we've got with some of these larger publications is that it's either direct attacks on companies, or it's overwhelmingly positive, and then there's no critical feedback at all, and there's no in between. There's no like in the middle where you just go, right, okay, well it's X, Y, and Z, and we need X, Y, and Z.
BitCloud, since we have you here, man, and you're mainly a PlayStation creator. There's this discussion going on in the chat about, we've heard this, that Sony had blacklisted a few creators for criticizing their game. You think what we just said also applies to Sony, or how do you see that?
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, again, like Dutch said it perfectly. Any real reputable company that wants to do business with you will do business with you, just like they would in the real, like in any any job you go to. If you are professional about it and not a dick about it. If you're going to someone's business saying, "Hey, F this, F your store, F this," you really think they're gonna want to serve or do anything? No, of course not. You want to be, be realistic in how you break it down. I'll give you an example right now. I thought I was gonna get blacklisted from WB Games Montreal because of how bad I ripped Gotham Knights to shreds in a video review. Only for me to find out, I get a message from them saying, "Hey, man, great video, appreciate your feedback." So I'm saying, I know this, a lot of people are afraid of it, but don't be. Just tell it how it is. If you need a template, I'll give you a template right now. Go by the plot, music, direction, art style, go through all these checklists, and you tell them how you feel about XYZ. And you'll be surprised how it works.
Absolutely.
Do not go out like Kotaku. Kotaku is one of the worst publications out there.
Oh, facts.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're even around still. Like, they just got blacklisted by Nintendo. Pretty soon they're going to get blacklisted by Sony and Microsoft.
And Microsoft as well.
Yeah. I don't care about Kotaku, but a lot of people follow Kotaku. That is one of the worst news outlets. I remember they were so dumb to follow a troll who made a Halo Infinite account and said Halo Infinite was delayed. Yeah, I remember that. And he had like the fake.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, that is one of the worst publications. And again, I got nothing to say. I got nothing against the guys personally, but if I'm going by their track record, they're literally one of the worst publications known to man.
That's so true. That's so true. Hang on one sec. I need to catch up on the super chat because Drawn TJ sends another $5 and he asks, "Hey, I want to ask you guys, if Phil Spencer did offer you a job at Xbox Game Studios, would you move and take it or no?"
Yes.
I would take it, absolutely, just because I know my feedback could help them for the future.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I say this too, and the reason why I would absolutely do is because, again, as much as the fanboys like to bring it around, you need Xbox, man.
Absolutely.
You don't want Sony with no damn monopoly. You need PlayStation. You need Xbox. I don't know why.
You absolutely don't want. So what Sony have, and everybody can see it, what Sony have done, even with Xbox as a competitor, with regards to raising prices, etc., etc., etc. If there was no Xbox and there was no competition, you'd think that would get better.
Yeah,
absolutely. They would get away with murder if they had no competition.
Exactly. Competition is what helps us gamers. I mean, even if you only have one of the consoles, it helps you to have a strong competition.
Even saying that, people slander Game Pass as much as they want, but Game Pass is the reason PS Plus is improved. Is the reason you've got now a 3-tier PS
drastically improved.
It's
actually really good now. I mean, the only thing missing, of course, is day and date now, but it's a good service.
And I go for Extra, which is the kind of middle band one. I think Premium's still a little bit needs work, but the Extra is the perfect middle ground, and you get
that's what I have. The Extra.
And keep in mind. Let's say if Sony was the monopoly, like the fanboys one, right? What's to stop Sony from charging you $600 and above for consoles?
Exactly.
When they're the only one. You gotta think about that. These consoles have gone, they're now in that range of what, mid to high range PCs now.
Yes.
I say mid range because
mid range,
right, but mid range PCs. Look at the PS5 in comparison to PS4, size comparison.
Yes.
It is night and day. These consoles are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm willing to bet we're going to be at that point where we're going to have Steam Machine equivalent styles. And the funny thing is, we're kind of already warming up to that because guess what, Dutch? We got pro units that are going to drop, apparently.
We're going to talk about that later, man. I have that on the topic list for a little later.
but it's like nobody asked for them. But again, the back on top.
Exactly.
That's where things are going. And the wild part is we've been in cross-gen for how long, guys?
Yeah, ever since this gen started. This was the thing about Redfall, right? To come full circle here, it's the first true next-gen release that they
looks
had.
like this. Right.
Yeah,
that is
it
crazy.
Looks like this. So, guys, to move a little bit on from Redfall, we stay at Redfall, but there is we had BitCloud. When you entered, we had a great super chat from Tom from Toonami that I wanted to use as a segue in the next topic, and that was do read the super one once more. He said, "You can see on Phil's face he had a meeting where there was probably a come to Jesus moment." So there was this big Phil Spencer interview today, and let's get onto that. I don't know, BitCloud, did you have the chance to watch that? Good, good. So we can talk about that. And I do have to say, before we get into some of the things that he said, he covered so many things, Redfall, and of course, delays in gaming. He talked about the showcase. And making great games. I think he misspoke and maybe teased something he shouldn't have. I don't know, but we talk about that. But in general, I was like, truly surprised, and I have to give my props to him because it is. He does not. He started the interview actually by saying when he was asked how you doing, and he was like, "Honestly, not that well. I had a rough week last week. Yeah, he had the CMA blocking the ABK deal, which like I can't imagine the work he had to put into that acquisition or that merger over the last 1.5 years." We all said it. Xbox is kind of like in a limbo. They can't do anything. They are so quiet. And you do not want to know what kind of pressure and hard work was done behind the scenes. And then so this must have been super frustrating. And then of course Redfall happened with all the feedback and everything. And so I was like, man, that's why I like Phil. For all the criticism we can give Xbox right now, what I do have to respect is for him to come onto camera like 2 days after the launch of Redfall and all the feedback and just being honest with the community and not sugarcoating it. He was like multiple times they were like trying to phrase certain problems in a nice way, and then he was like, no, it's on us. We messed up with that, and he was like, always, I'm cranky. I'm not in a good mood. I can't say anything else, and that I highly respect that.
He's basically he's the Xbox version of Kaz Hirai for PlayStation, which is good. Like he knows how to talk at least, and he'll man up to it. Jim Ryan's not a good speaker, man. He's not a good speaker.
He's not.
Some people hated on Sean Layden, but Sean Layden at first he was nervous, but he got into it and was a natural with it. When he started getting on the shows doing this thing, he was a natural. But again, Jim Ryan, despite him being a good businessman, he ain't good as public speaking. He's just not.
Yeah, absolutely. So, he said on the matter of Redfall, and then we move on from Redfall and talk about some of the other things he talked about. But he obviously said that he's sad and disappointed that the game launched like this, and that they definitely need to look into the processes. Their internal processes, that they did not he also emphasized he does not want to step in on a creative vision of a studio, but definitely on a technical execution. He talked about this, said, well, they had this team that went in with Starfield and helped ZeniMax after the acquisition on a technical level there. They did not do the same thing with Redfall, and it was a mistake. He also said they thought it would score significantly higher, and this is honestly,
that's an insult.
I said that earlier on the show. That's the scary part.
That's kind of an insult, yeah.
Yes,
that you would think it would score higher. No, we're not going to accept anything at that state. No,
that is the biggest problem right there. That you have internally thought internally that this is gonna be a good thing. So. Yeah, but he was like very honest. They didn't meet the mark. They are trying to fix it, of course. But yeah, they deserve the L, and they deserve the criticism. And you could really tell that he was down. So, Dutch, what did you think of this Phil Spencer interview, man?
Yeah. Ooh. The interview was. The one thing I loved about it the most was the fact that he was absolutely frank. He shot down Paris when he said he kind of tried to skirt around it. It's like you kind of haven't managed to achieve. He said, no, there's no kind of managed. We didn't achieve the 12-month window. Let's be honest about that.
Yep.
There is no skirting around it. We didn't achieve what we set out to achieve. Like I'm not, and he said sorry for being cranky, but like. I know I'm usually positive, but I'm in a cranky mood. Like I'm not in the best of moods this week, but I'm going to be frank and honest about it. So I like the fact that the entire interview was him being honest about the fact that he's pretty pissed off, and he looked angry, he looked frustrated. Yes, he had a little bit of a kind of a joke here and there, but ultimately he didn't look pleased at all with the way things have been going.
Yeah.
Another kind of frank and honest moment he had there was the admission that ultimately said any continued failures are marks against him, and that it could be somebody else standing there if it continues, which is a frank and honest admission that if he doesn't perform or under his leadership it doesn't perform, that it wouldn't be him going forward, and he needs to get to grips with things because ultimately it falls on him. So I like that brutal honesty about his leadership and his performance.
He even said,
he said
there was one sentence he dropped. Yeah, absolutely, he is. There was one sentence he dropped, and I have to paraphrase now, of course. He said, like, at some point, I've taken enough hits that someone else will take my chair. Exactly. He's very well aware that at the end, he is responsible. And I think this alone is at least something that where okay, it's not like trying to look for excuses here or there. He could have easily it's upon ZeniMax, we have internal things, and so. But he was like, no. At the end, I'm the head of Xbox, and at the end, it's my responsibility, and I can respect that. I can definitely.
And I think as a lot of people might have construed that as thinking that he's had tough discussions with Satya Nadella or his bosses, etc. And I don't think that's the case. I think he's been the one having tough discussions. I think he's been the one that's been going out of his way.
I think both ways. Honestly, I think both ways. When you are in a $1 trillion company and you run this big business unit that is worth, I don't know, how many $1 billion the Xbox division itself is worth. And they have lately published good numbers, but not great numbers. So the Xbox business is making money, yes, but when you look at this from a business point of view, the mother company, the Microsoft, is an investor, and investors always look for growth. And they have not shown them that they grow their business. So I think, of course, he has pressure internally. If you do not get $70 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard, and then not grow your business unit. This is so I think he has the tough discussions in both directions.
I think on that front as well. My point on there wasn't that he hasn't had those discussions with Satya. I think the main source of his frustration and anger was the conversations he's had, as opposed to the conversations that have been had with him. I think those are his frustrations and issues, and he highlighted a few of the concerns. One of them, which he brought up there, was they have the tools. He even pinpointed, and we've mentioned this on numerous occasions with different developments. They have numerous teams that are unbelievable with Unreal, Coalition being the one of them, that could have very well have stepped up and supported Redfall in ironing out some of these issues. And he said this is on us for not going and supporting them, because we've done that with Starfield. When we acquired that studio, we'd already had back catalogue of going to work with Bethesda on Starfield, and we're already supporting them and have been for a number of years to make sure that is in its best position. We haven't done that with Redfall, and we haven't given them the same level of support, and we should have done much earlier. That would have, or potentially could have, solved a lot of the issues they've been having. But ultimately, I think what he isn't to blame for, and again, one thing he does stick up for, and I mentioned this yesterday as well, is creative vision. And this is the one thing I love about Xbox, is that they are willing to give studios the ability to create whatever it is that they think about. No matter how random that idea is, you're going to have failures and you're going to have hits if something is completely creative. And that is a risk you have to take with being creative, and something that Sony isn't as risky with is letting teams try new things, which is why we get really solid, great experiences from Sony. But do we get really outlandish and creative ideas from Sony PlayStation? You've got to be kind of truthful and say no.
Yeah.
You've got Ghost of Tsushima, which is great, but
they play it safe. Yeah, that's
we've had before.
Yeah,
You've got God of War, which is great. It's amazing, but it's an experience we've had. Uncharted is again same thing. The Last of Us, same thing. These are all amazing experiences, but they're very safe experiences. They're not something you're risky with.
Yeah,
Xbox are willing to be risky with the games that they're creating, and that's the one thing he stands behind and says, listen, yes, this hasn't worked out. Like Redfall, will continue to work on it and make sure it's in its best position going forwards.
Yep.
But ultimately, this hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
From a creative standpoint, and we need to figure out what part of that went wrong in the past so we can make sure that doesn't happen again going forward.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have a higher risk factor when you're allowing that level of creativity across your studios. So I'm glad he stood up for that and said, listen, we're going to continue to allow people to be creative, regardless of this setback. But we do need to get a stronger hold on the technical aspect of things, because I don't want to restrict creativity, but we definitely need to get a little bit more grip on the technical aspect.
Yeah. They need a grip. Yeah,
absolutely.
So that is a perfect summarization on that bit.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, on paper, Series X has a better CPU and GPU than PS5.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. A PS5 is outperforming it. Also. Period. Yeah. Makes no sense. PS5 is getting outperformed like that. Like that's
that's the thing.
All of us on this panel, we have gaming PCs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you, even with our gaming PCs, that's insulting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flat up.
That's
insulting.
It is. That's one of the things that I mentioned earlier. It's this long list of things. Yeah. So, let me catch up on the super chats. Fanto and TJ, I know your super came in first, but I want to use your super as a segue for the next topic, so I'm going to save that. Fanto sends in a super chat and says, Phil spoke frankly, concisely, and I have more respect for Xbox as a brand hearing his obvious, honest thoughts why they are where they are right now. I do agree. I think, again, this honest discourse, I have the highest respect, because it's really not easy as the head of Xbox to come online and answer all those questions. And yes, of course, kind of funny. They tried to phrase certain things in a nice way, but honestly, they did a fantastic job. Highly recommend to watch the thing, because they have asked these questions. The community is tired of hearing we have to wait till next year. The community is disappointed in lack of performance. Do you feel that you treat console customers as the second-class customer? They phrase them a little differently, but those are the questions that they ask, and Phil stood there and answered them, and that's. Honestly,
it's not just answered. I think to add to that, as I mentioned before, I think you said it rightly. Kind of funny. We're trying to be nice about it, and Phil rebuffed them and said, "No, let's not be nice about it. Like we need to be honest about it. Like we can't be floating about the idea." And I like that. I like the fact that he went, "No, let's enough of the being nice. Let's get."
This goes back to what we were just saying. People are afraid to ask the question.
Exactly.
That we were just saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? If we had people asking those questions the way they should be answered, we wouldn't be having this many problems. We wouldn't have this many problems. And to go back to this, just the way, the state of the games. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me to get excited.
Mm-hmm. That's because they have not
out of spite.
It's also a question they asked. We'll get to that in a second, but they asked the question, you have teased Fable, Avowed, Perfect Dark, all these games, but we don't know anything about them. So, but we get to that in a second. Tom from Toonami sends in $5, and thank you so much for that, man. He says, it's good giving studios artistic freedom, but at some point you'll need to say, no, sorry, this ain't it. Drop it and come up with something else.
I would agree to disagree with that. Sony's gotten a lot of great rewards out of just allowing the developers to go out there and make the games they want. Hence why you got Jay Raymond dropping her game, which is, we don't know what it's going to be. We got Deviation Studios or Deviation Games making their Call of Duty equivalent, whatever the hell that's going to be. We got Insomniac, which is pretty much the MVP of PlayStation Studios right now, making superhero games, something that we never thought that the studio would ever really be known for now. But again, you also had Ratchet and Clank. So to an extent, yes, I would agree that you should allow the studio to go out there and make the game they want and build morale. So I'm saying if you have high morale, I think that's going to lead to a better experience, overall, and you can have that type of vibe. But if you don't, and it's just like this formulaic conveyor belt, like the last thing I ever want to see is Microsoft going like a Ubisoft route.
We've also seen the harsh realities from Sony's side, and this is where I say Microsoft are more willing to take risks.
Yeah,
is because you've seen what happened with Days Gone. Because Days Gone didn't critically perform, it was sacked off. Not because the game wasn't good, because a lot of people loved that game, and there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was a good game. It reviewed okay. It was like above average in reviews. It was like 70
actually
plus.
sold really well.
8 million
It's so pretty good. Yeah. And also Sony was like, the way they presented that, with the orchestra, they were expecting that to be like their
big,
that big.
Yes, exactly. So
that was their hybrid. They wanted that to be super big, but it just didn't hit the way they wanted.
I actually have to agree with Tom from Toonami because yes, artistic freedom is important, and if
I think
studios do not allow that, hang on, just for 1 sec.
Yeah.
It's important because otherwise we would have not gotten experiences like a Hi-Fi Rush, like a Grounded, or those kind of things where people just come in and say, okay, we want to do this or that. I think this kind of creative freedom, let the developers do the game they want to do. That is important. But yes, at some point, you are taking up resources and you have to look in and say, okay, my game, Redfall, even though if you want to make that game, man, it's not fun this way. It's not working on a technical level as it's supposed to or whatever. Yeah, at some point, there's enough with creative freedom. Yeah, at some point, the hard reality of developing anything, and I'm not just talking about games, whatever you develop, yeah. Yep. At some point, stuff has to come together and work, and that's what I meant earlier. There are processes and methods in how to manage such things. Yeah, how do you define proper quality gates? How do you track them? What are your KPIs? What are the things you need to look at to ensure you are hitting the targets, how to identify problems? There are methods for that. And so, yes, I do agree with Tom. Creative freedom is good and nice, but at the end of the day, that's or I don't know if that's the reason, but for the sake of argument, let's say Sony is not giving them their studios as much creative freedom, because otherwise we wouldn't have the classic Sony formula. They play it safe. But they deliver. At the end of the day, they deliver. And Xbox is not. So the
wild part too, just to piggyback off of that too, if we just to compare this version of Sony, right, to the PS3 gen, I remember how like it felt like every year you had like 6 new brands making new IPs. I'm talking about like every year. It was like they kept throwing stuff at a dartboard, and a lot of the games did not hit. Period. Like except for a few, like Last of Us and a few others. That's pretty much the exact same thing here. Now, do I expect Microsoft to go that route?
Yeah.
No, but I would like to see that $69 billion smartly go to where it needs to go, and that is their own first party. Like, just put that in the teams that you have. Yeah. You don't have to go and buy Ubisoft. I think we all can agree Ubisoft be a waste. It won't do nothing for them. Yeah. Buying Capcom, we could say it could build faith, but do they really need Capcom? No.
I would personally say Crytek and Asobo.
Yes.
Yeah, smaller individual studios. Absolutely.
Individual studio.
Get the studio here right here. You don't need the big publishers.
Yeah, you would think they take a page out of Sony's
Crytek and Asobo both of them have proprietary engines that are fantastic.
Yes.
But they also have technical ability and knowledge on the back end to help create and elaborate on things for everybody, not just themselves.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I wanted to expand on what you were saying as well regarding the creative freedom, and I think We have seen Microsoft push back on games early in development, and primarily, and we always mention it and take the mick out of Vin for it, but Scalebound as a primary example.
Yeah.
That was cancelled completely because not just the creative vision on it, but from a technical standpoint, was absolutely nowhere near what they were expecting for that, so they canned it. And I think primarily what you'll see on the back end that we don't see is the amount of projects that are canned, the amount of projects that might have been in the work that have been binned, the amount of things, the creative ideas that were in process that have been canned really early.
Yeah.
What we haven't seen is, and again, what people are alluding to here is canning games that are almost at completion. Microsoft obviously
Fable
didn't
Legends.
envision Red. Yeah,
man,
yeah,
that was a finished game.
Yeah, what people can't expect is games like Redfall, which quite clearly, up to a certain point from Microsoft, they thought, no, it's just still got something to it. It needs a bit of work, but we'll give them that delay. They've asked for a delay, so we'll give them the delay, which they got. But there's still something, there's enough to it that this could be a good game, and we'll let them kind of go with it. It's not kind of an if or. It needs to be absolutely shockingly bad for them to turn around and cancel a game that's that far into it, i.e. Scalebound, Fable Legends, etc. There needs to be something fundamentally terrible with it. And they mustn't have seen something fundamentally terrible with the game in order to cancel Redfall. Now, we are sitting here naturally and saying, listen, the missions are terrible. The graphics are outdated. But even if you take away the graphics and the missions, from a technical standpoint, you've got a lot of issues. You've got texture issues. You've got frame rates are all over the place. It's not optimized correctly. So from a technical standpoint, you need to get those sorted. But even when you do, the things the teams can fix is bring in better missions, like overhaul the missions, bring in some better missions for people to play going forwards in the form or shape of free DLC. So the missions or the story missions, etc., are more entertaining going forwards. These are things that they can do on a fundamental level to make sure that in the future or going forward for Redfall, it might be something people enjoy. And this is something they can do to make up for people who were expecting a better story experience. From a performance issue, of course, they've said 60 frames is still being worked on and it will be coming out sooner rather than later. So they'll get that sorted. So from a performance aspect, that needs to be sorted. They need to fix the AI, and I think that is something that they can do. That's something that they can tweak in the background, and through a patch, the AI can be a little bit better.
Yeah.
The AI currently aren't even do the fundamental things that they'll walk out in the middle of a road and just stand there and shoot at you. Whereas we know from the likes of the Coalition and even Halo with the grubs and everything like that, AI naturally, when being shot at, you should go and find cover. Even as AI, you should naturally go and find cover. Not when I'm shooting at an AI from a distance with a sniper rifle, I can shoot an enemy standing beside an enemy in the head. They'll go down and die, and his teammate won't even move. He'll just go, and then just walk off as if nothing's happened. Those are things that can be tweaked in the background. Those are things that can be resolved so they can make the game a little bit more palatable. And it's not something that is like, and don't get me wrong, Redfall's not a great game. It's an okay game, and that's all it is going to be. It's an okay game. It's not something that you're going to make buckets of money off, but it's not something you're ultimately going to lose money on either. But it's never going to push the door out, so they can make it to a point where it's palatable going forwards, and then that's it. Game's done.
Most certainly not a system seller.
The fact that it's $70 and it's their first.
Yeah, it needs to
that's what's killing it the most. Aside from it, that's really what it is.
Absolutely. But let's move on a little bit from Redfall. I want to use Drawn TJ's super chats as a segue. First, he said, "Buy Warner Brothers." Yeah, man, that's not. We don't want Warner Brothers. We want the IPs of Warner Brothers. That's the thing.
I don't want them anywhere near the company at this point. I'd rather them do like what a lot of people are surprised Sony's doing. Just buy some smaller teams, build intrigue, and give these teams the budget. Let them create games.
Yeah.
There you go. $79 billion. Yeah, $69 billion. Sorry, that is a lot to expand if you need to. If you need additional hands on projects,
you can
buy additional hands on projects. Have them, you know what I mean? Have that be your backup team.
But that's back to the point of what is growing your business. They want to acquire ABK because they want to expand in mobile and with that grow their business. But DrawnTJ also sends in $5. Actually, he sent them in like 30 minutes ago. I was saving the super chat as a segue. He said they need to show gameplay of State of Decay 3. It's been in development for 5 years, and that leans, of course, TJ in the discussion about the showcase. They announced. Re-announced it this week. I mean, we knew that it was on June 11th, but this time they did it probably with a logo and times and what and so on. And I do agree. I want to see State of Decay 3. But Phil Spencer also said something about this on the interview, and so of course he talked about that. He has to be enthusiastic for that show. He admitted that they didn't deliver on the 2020 showcase, not just with the 10 months, but with the lack of excitement. But he's really excited about this year's show. He also said, you shouldn't take my word for it. And he understands that people do not want to hear that right now, which I can respect. But he said, we are going to announce some things that people haven't seen, and we're gonna show updates on the announced games. So,
I want to add to that as well, actually, because he added something that also on the tail end of that one that also elaborated that, which was more to do with, and I'm not getting to that point yet because I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
He mentioned he's also now being able to, in vision perspective, we've now got to the point where I can see a game a quarter dropping. I can see that, and I can see it realistically in my vision. Like, that is something that is now coming into fruition. And I think he said, obviously now he's mentioned that many times. Like, listen, I want a game a quarter. I want a game a quarter. I want a game a quarter. And he's saying now, as it stands, with the timelines I'm seeing our games at and where they are in development, I can now see a game a quarter dropping. Like, this is a realistic thing now.
It's good.
That's the thing about the showcase now. The showcase, there's a lot of pressure now on the showcase, of course. Yeah,
a lot of unanswered questions, like how far is Perfect Dark away from development? How about Avowed? Do you guys read anything on Avowed? I haven't heard anything for Avowed.
Well, we talked to Chess Corden on our show when we had him on because he actually seen footage from it, but it was like 2-year-old footage. So very early in development, and the game obviously changed engines ever since. They moved over from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. But yeah, Avowed is just one of the many games. And actually, Paris Lily in the interview also said that to Phil. Yeah, we have an Avowed, we have a Perfect Dark, we have Fable, we have State of Decay, we have all these games announced, and we know nothing about them. And for the most part, those games have been 6+ years in development, almost all of them at this point in time.
And Phil kind of covered that as well, didn't he, in his response?
Yes. So yeah, guys, what do you expect? Also, I want to hear, of course, from everyone in the chat. What do you guys think about the showcase? What do you think do they need to show in order for it to be a success? This is also a good question. Yeah. What do they? The pressure is big now. The Xbox needs some positivity right now, and I've said this at the beginning of the show, Dutch, that we all want to report on the positive stuff. It's way more fun to talk about Redfall
that we're happy for
being exciting and great and all the exciting things. But sometimes it's just what it is. And lately, Xbox definitely needs a few more positive news and headlines. So, what do you guys think? What do they need to do at this showcase for the general sentiment that Xbox can't deliver, that they can't handle their studios, that they, all these things that are out there. What do they need to do to rectify that?
I'm visualizing Dutch with the little white flag. The way he's looking, he's like, I'm just done. But,
I'm going to be brutally honest. Yeah, I'm going to be brutally honest with it. I don't think the showcase at this point will do much in the way of changing opinion. Right now, people just want to, and he said it as well in his response.
People want games.
The showcase isn't going to do much. People just want the games in their hands and be able to play them.
Yep.
And that is the perfect response, because that's exactly how the sentiment is right now. People are done saying and talking about these games. We want to play them. We want to be able to get our hands on them. And when can we do that? Forza Motorsport being one of them is sitting there, and everyone's like, well, we've seen it running. We can see how great it looks. But when are we actually getting to play this game?
You think July?
Multiple times. When are we getting to see that?
You think that'll be the big reveal for July for it? Like they'll say that's a July release at the show?
I think it's a July, August release,
Yeah, that'd be a nice.
Sorry, for which game?
Forza.
They actually they teased something earlier this week. Hang on, where I have it in my notes because I actually had it as a maybe topic for the end of the show if we have time left. The official account teased the following. They posted a picture of a car, Ford GT or something, and they said, "Who else is ready for summer?"
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. How about Doom? You think Doom would be a cool reveal?
No. I think the next project we'll see from id Tech would be Quake or Wolfenstein. I think
Wolfenstein isn't id Tech. It runs on the id Tech engine, but
that's Machine Games.
That's Machine Games, yeah. And I'm not sure if we see Wolfenstein or Indiana Jones first. So
yeah, I think Wolf from Machine Games first. Indiana, I think, will be later on, and I think Quake will be the first out before Doom.
I agree. I do agree there. Yeah, I think that's.
Ultimately, from the showcase, I want to kind of add to that. From the showcase, what I'm expecting at this point, though, is we're getting the release date for Hellblade 2. I know it is, and it's releasing this year. Okay, let's get to that.
Well, in a second, I think I want to touch on one thing you said. The thing is, the showcase alone will generate hype around Xbox in the core gaming community if they do it right.
Yeah.
But what Xbox really needs to do, in addition to get us excited again about Xbox, is to get a wider audience, some positive vibes around the media sides, some positive vibes in the casual gaming market to make them simply more relevant in that segment. And I don't know if a showcase alone can do that. What you got to do is definitely have hands-on experiences. E3 obviously not happening. Dutch, I hope we get to play some Xbox games at Gamescom. We have already booked our hotel, so we're going to Gamescom. Definitely I want to play a Hellblade there, or an Avowed, or a Fable, or something. Get these games in the hands of gamers, of creators, of fans. That's what they need to do. In general, for the showcase, I do want them to do mainly three things, honestly. The first is they need to stop showing the games on PC or with CGI. I need to see gameplay running on the console, because the console experience is what made Xbox big. I get that Xbox is an ecosystem now. Xbox is PC, it's cloud, it's everything.
Yeah.
Phil mentioned that without being questioned about it. Phil brought up the fact that they've misled people. They show footage on PC of Redfall running at 60 when they knew that Redfall was releasing at 30.
Yeah.
They mentioned that they need to stop doing that. They need to be fully transparent and say this game's running on Xbox or this game's showing on PC. They need to be transparent with it.
And it's time to show the games again on console, because you want the console community again to feel like they are their target audience. And this showcase is for the target audience. The casual gamer, is not the target for the showcase. The casual gamer is not watching the showcase. It's us hardcore gamers, and we go out on social and spread the word to the casuals, to our friends and families, and that's what Xbox needs to do. It's the one thing. So, and I want updates of the games. I want to see a Fable and Avowed. I want to see how A Perfect Dark looks. What is that game gonna be? I'm super excited for State of Decay 3. I loved the State of Decay 2. It's an amazing game, and I want to see the sequel. So they need to give us updates there, and then they have to have some surprises up their sleeve. Something
third-party deals,
a great deal, you know. Again, I always say the pop culture IP absolutely is missing. Maybe a superhero game or a Star Wars, or I don't know, something like that. Give us a surprise, something we do not expect, because we do expect to see some game reveals. We know that. Maybe it's Compulsion, maybe it's In Exile, maybe it's Double Fine. We don't know. We expect some games to be shown. But I want a surprise, something we do not expect at the show. And with all that, they can really knock it out of the park. And we always say, just wait for the next showcase, just wait for June. I
would say sign a deal with EA for this Iron Man game, just to help,
exactly.
Do something in those aspects. Like, I don't want to see personally. I know a lot of people. This is a weird topic, but I know like a lot of people get excited when they see controllers. I'm tired of seeing controllers on Xbox. I don't want to see another controller. I want to see the reason why we buy controllers. We buy controllers to play
games. Exactly.
Give me the games. Give me the updates that we want, that we deserve to have updates on. If Perfect Dark is far away from development, at least tell us we have an idea, so that way we can kind of look past it and be wowed by it when the time comes. You know what I'm saying? Do stuff like that. Like, that needs to happen. There needs to be some the console needs a shot of adrenaline, a real big shot of adrenaline at this point. And
absolutely,
you just need to wow. You need that wow factor. And I think even though some people might say it might not be time, I think Gears reveal at this show would help a little bit. Would it change the situation? No, but it would help build some faith. Like, hey, listen, this is running on the box. This is what we're gonna get. It's not PC. This is what you're gonna get. And even with him saying that he misled the gamers, showing it running on PC, I mean, in a weird way, it felt like Phil was pushing you to just go to PC.
Yes.
That's what it felt like. You know what I mean? The way everything was just
what a lot of console gamers said over the last months, that they feel like second-class citizens.
Like they don't have to pay for online and all that. Y'all do on consoles. Like, it's been so straightforward with PC. It's like, it's kind of like, it feels like that's what he wants. Like, hey, guy, by the way, that theory that you guys have about our games looking better on PC, they do. Here's Redfall. It's like, no. At the end of the day, the console gamers made you what you are.
Yeah,
you got to honor them. You got to make them feel special. You got to make them. Exactly. You got to treat every game like an event. Yeah, I remember Halo 3 with the custom console. I remember when that first came out. The excitement everybody had. Everybody was over the moon.
Oblivion. The launch of Oblivion was like. It was a moment. Dude,
when Gears 2 was revealed, when he showed the lance, he cut through the wall. I mean, where is that excitement? You need that type of excitement back into this, and you will be fine. Yes. But it's going to take some time, and you got to build faith. And the way Phil's saying, like, he's like, listen, every L, quote unquote, we take is on me now. It's like, well, this is what I expect from Phil. First of all, I need Phil to stop being this nice guy business-wise. I need you to go and be strategic
in the aggressive,
and go into that aggressive field. You got to buy these third-party deals. You got to go and tell them, listen, hey, we'll sweeten the deal. Put it on here first. Give us a year exclusivity. Do what Sony's doing, but do it better if you need to, if you can, and just naturally build as you go. That's how you do it. You know, buying Activision, a deal, by the way, we would have to wait 10 years to see going through anyway. But if they did go through with it, that's not going to fix it. That's going to expand you, but that's not going to fix the problem. Call of Duty by itself can't fix Xbox. You have issues that you need to address in your own first party. Many people have even said, even Colin Moriarty said this, Microsoft hasn't shown that they can handle their own studios.
Yeah.
So what makes sure they can handle Activision? This needs to be fixed. These issues need to be fixed. Once they fix this, we should be fine. But it's going to take time.
It's absolutely going to take time. And like you both said, it's time. What we really need is the games in the hand. And so there was an interesting question when he was asked about, okay, people are tired to hear the phrase like, just wait for next year. He ducked away a little, but then he came around and said that he understands the frustration and that he's really excited for the things coming this year, like a Starfield, a Forza, and then he mentioned Hellblade in the same sentence. So he was saying, see, just look at the games coming. We have Starfield, we have Forza, we have Hellblade. In addition to that, earlier this week, they put out a new teaser trailer for the games of 23. There was, in this entire advertisement trailer, there were only games that are supposed to come out this year, and Hellblade was included. Phil also mentioned that you see, for Starfield, Forza, Hellblade are coming a little later down the line. We have Avowed and others. So he did not include the Hellblade into the little later down the line. So, of course, we have to speculate about Hellblade coming this year, Dutch. What do you think, man?
Yes, I've been saying this since the end of last year, and I've said it at the beginning of this year. Hellblade, in its state, we know they finished the mocap the tail end of last year, which was the toughest part for them. And that is, once that is complete, we know they were on the final stretch, the home run to getting that game complete. Now, if we're saying final stretch and home run, I always said it's going to be a fall or their big winter game, their big final release of the year. And I fully stood behind that, and I still do. And it looks like I'm probably going to be right. It looks like it's going to be that winter release, that big final fall game. But this is one studio that I fully trust from a technical perspective, because Ninja Theory have really put in the work on this, put in the work on the back end.
Night and day.
It's going to be super. We even seen, for instance, and I know this is specifically, I don't even think they brought the patch out on PlayStation. I might be wrong, but they brought out the updated patch for Hellblade. One on Xbox Series consoles, so you get kind of 60 frames and 4K resolution and things like that. So they improved that on there, as well as continuing to work on the current game. But no, I think the work that they've put into it on the combat front, on the mocap front, they've done some serious work on the audio, on the technical stand front. They're working hand in hand with Unreal and Epic to make sure that they're a showpiece for that engine as well. And I think that's why we keep seeing it at GDC and Unreal's events as well, as State of Unreal. We see Hellblade consistently there because they are working hand in hand with the guys at Epic to make sure this game is as good as it can be, because they want it to be a showpiece for the engine. So yeah, I'm fully confident in the team at Ninja Theory. I think they're going to release a phenomenal game. I'm super looking forward to it coming out this year. I think it is. I think it's going to be that.
What do you think?
And that's going to be one of the two games that I am the most looking forward to. And the other one he said we could see as well, because he, as you mentioned, Paris, he listed out a ton of games that we've not had info for, like Fable, Everwild, State of Decay 3, Avowed, etc. And Phil said, you're going to see some of those that you've listed at the showcase. I think Fable will be one of them, to be honest, because we've heard from the team at Xbox that they've seen what is there. They wanted to show it off a while ago, and Playground pushed back and said not yet. So I think if they could have done, they would have showed it off last year. but they didn't want them to at that point. And I think they were even trying to potentially get them to do it at Developer Direct, and they probably pushed back there as well. So I think we'll probably see Fable at this showcase. No, it won't release this year, but I could probably see them putting a rough time scale on that release window, possibly maybe it's a Q4 2024 or something like that.
Maybe
like
just the year
release.
24 or something.
Yeah.
I do agree. Fable has been for a long time in development, and people sometimes don't realize that. In January 2017, we heard that the Fable IP was given to a British developer, and in the fall of 2017, Playground confirmed that they are working on an action RPG, and they have founded a second studio for that particular game. Didn't say that it's Fable at the time, but they said it's an action RPG, a third-person action RPG in 2017. So the game is 6 years now in development, 7 years next year. So I think it's more than realistic that this game is at least in a presentable stage. And I think what Xbox really needs is what BitCloud said. It says like these wow factors. We have to have the wow games. The wow game is Hellblade. Hellblade is the only game out of all those that they have shown gameplay.
I want to interject on something a second regarding Hellblade, because there's a comment in chat, and I agree primarily based on Hellblade 1. Dustin says, I think Hellblade is really niche. I think that it will review well, but not get many people playing it. What I have to change on that is the first Hellblade is a psychological horror game. The second one, I know, is not a psychological horror game. It is very much not. I actually think people will be surprised by the type of game you're going to get with Hellblade 2, because it is a little bit of a different direction to the first one. It is nowhere near as puzzle heavy. It is definitely more action adventure focused, but you're gonna have those psychological moments in there, but it's refined to a point that's probably catering to a bigger mass audience. And it's action and it's storytelling. In the combat specifically, which you've done a lot of work on, this is going to be a little bit more than what people are expecting. It's not the psychological horror that was in Hellblade 1. That was what they were limited to, being an indie studio, not what they had visions for Hellblade to be.
That's definitely one thing I would like to add to this. It was an indie studio, so obviously they did not have the chance to appeal to the masses like they do
had
now.
The budget to make one person actual video game character with Senua. Everybody else, if you think about like the demons and all that stuff,
going to be a staple.
Yeah, and then it was basically cast and crew. Like on the developers, like dressed up, you can see them wearing weird helmet stuff, like doing the voices. But again,
and then let me tell you, graphics sell. It is just what it is. Graphics sell games, and that's why Sony is paying so much attention in how their games look. Because they know Spider-Man. If that looks good, it sells. Look, graphics sell, and if you
I was going to say, even on the combat side, aside from graphics, we have to, and you have to point this out, because I think a lot of people either have not had the opportunity to look at some of this stuff or have not come across us speaking about it before. But on the combat front, specifically when we're talking about sword fighting, they got the choreographer that worked on Star Wars to teach all of the guys in the studio.
Yeah.
All the animators,
sword fighting techniques and combat techniques.
That's good, because it was very bare bone in the first one. Like it was very straightforward. Like you only had like a heavy and a light attack. You didn't really have much else.
Yeah.
Simple combat system in the first one.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be a way more complex combat system now, and I think Hellblade definitely has the chance to become a system seller for Xbox. Seriously. And I have said this before. Right, I think if it's done right, of course, if it's done right, but it's a studio that I have faith in. And now I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No.
I said what I meant.
We all have faith in Ninja Theory.
Absolutely, and I think that Senua even has the chance to become like one of the new mascots of Xbox.
Yes,
because that's what Xbox needs. They need that.
They need that.
They had have the Master Chief, and they have Marcus Phoenix. But that's it. And I think like Senua is definitely gonna become one of them. But I wanted to add to Fable one thing: the wow moment. What Xbox needs is these impressive games, and Hellblade has been the only one, because that's the only one that they have shown in game, and everyone was like, "Wow, that's in game." We all now assume, of course, that's PC footage, but still, it looks incredibly. You have that wow moment, and I think Playground is another studio. I mean, look at how a Forza Horizon 5 looks.
When we're talking about
on the old engine
studios, the gems in the crown. I think Ninja Theory, Coalition, Playground Games, Rare, even still, as much as people might.
No,
like, even
Rare makes successful games, but they don't have that wow factor. I'm sorry. If you look at an Everwild, you say, okay, that looks nice artistic art style, but it doesn't have the wow moment.
Yeah, I agree. I meant more from studios can successfully release quality games.
Quality. Absolutely. Not hopping on the quality, but I'm saying, and you need that wow moment. Yeah, we all assume that Perfect Dark will also be such a game, because with Crystal now working on it, they have a great record in making games look wow. Yeah, Tomb Raider, amazing looking. So. But that's what they definitely need. They need these moments where you have like, okay, that's next gen, the next gen moments. So, but let me catch up on the super chats. Drawn TJ sends in another generous $10. Thank you so much for the support, man. He says, if I'm Phil Spencer, I go make a polishing studio that has experience in the first party engines, then make a studio for remaster and remakes from first party. Yeah, that's a two-parted thing.
We all kind of threw that idea out there a long time ago, didn't we? When we were talking about like, bringing back Banjo.
Yes, Banjo. I would like to redo them Crimson Skies. But they definitely they have so many great track record IPs from the OG days, from the 360 days. There's so much that you could do or remake properly, and why not make a dedicated studio for that? Absolutely. And the other thing about the polishing studio, they kind of have that. It's not a studio, it's more of a team, ATG, that's the advanced technical group within Microsoft that goes out into the studios to help them polish. I would staff up on them, honestly, which
is made up primarily of Xbox Game Studios publishing, which is kind of part of the ATG.
Exactly. So, and I, even though it wasn't a super chat, but I need to mention that Ninja Scroll said earlier in the discussion about what's coming this year, as well as Stalker 2, and I want to mention that as well because I'm super excited for Stalker 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That drops at the end of the year. I think
it's dropping at some point this year. But the developers have been adamant it's coming out this year, but they can't put an exact date on it.
So I think that probably confirms that it's going to be at the showcase. You guys think?
Yeah, I think
absolutely,
it will be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get the official. Hey guys,
I think
it's here.
It's here.
Because I don't see them. I don't see them dropping the release for that in a tweet. No,
that's way too big.
I think Microsoft want to make a big deal out of it for them as well, because I think Microsoft have been super supportive and no doubt and there's obviously every reason for it. I loved last year's extended showcase with the inclusion of what they even in the middle of that they still managed to release a new trailer, and it was quite heartbreaking to see kind of the developers in that position, and having to go through that and losing staff members to the war, etc., and still yet put out a gameplay trailer of the game and looking fantastic and saying, listen, we're still working on it and we're like working to get this out as soon as we can, and we're confident in it, and thanks to Microsoft, etc. So they're going to make a big deal around it.
It would be interesting because again, that wow factor, right? It would be interesting if they pulled a Hi-Fi Rush with Stalker 2.
Oh,
that would be a pretty
pretty
cool,
epic. But then Stalker 2 is kind of too big to do that. It's like Stalker 2 is not a niche game. I've seen people just because they haven't played the first one, but Stalker was a big thing on a PC.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not like
that's
some random
Network
indie game
today.
we're talking here. This is a big deal. Stalker 2. It's gonna be. It's. I mean, you've seen the gameplay. Literally, they have put out relatively a lot of in-game footage in their trailers. It looks amazing. It's gonna be an open world RPG shooter. It's gonna be Stalker. I can't wait. I in January, everyone was posting their 3 most anticipated games of the year, and I included Stalker there.
I mean, that'd be crazy. They'd be like, "Hey, look, Stalker 2, it's dropping next month," and just advertise the hell out of it. I'd be all in.
That'd be awesome. That. Pyromat sends in a £5 super chat and says, "If you don't have the time for community questions tonight, it's okay. The Redfall topic ran on a bit." Yeah, man.
No, we'll cover them. We'll still cover them.
We'll still cover them. BitCloud, if you have to drop out, don't hesitate, but you're obviously welcome to stay. But then, gentlemen, real quick to close up the Phil Spencer interview. I thought this was an interesting thing he mentioned multiple times throughout the interview about the importance of the Xbox One and PS4 generation. He said that this was one of the most important generations ever and they lost it because that was the generation where people started to build up their digital libraries. Yeah. And I think I have never thought about it this way, but I kind of think this is an interesting thought, so I wanted to discuss this with you. Do you think he's right? I kind of do agree with him there. It was the time where most people moved over and started to build up their digital libraries, and now you have them, and that makes a transition from one platform to the other significantly harder than with the previous generations, where you always had the clean slate because there was no backwards compatibility, and you had just discs or cartridges or whatever with your games.
Yeah, not only that, though, with the PS3 and 360 gen, downloading games felt like a hassle. It was kind of the worst way to play them, period. You know what I mean? It just, the way their storefronts were built, it didn't really work as expected.
Towards the end of the generation, it did. That's actually when I transitioned over. I remember very well my first digital full-price title, at least, was Far Cry 3. And ever since, I'm completely digital, honestly.
Yeah, but it was a different time. I mean, we were all. Yeah. I mean, again, I know you guys are still. I don't know. You guys probably still dab in the physical. You guys still buy physical?
Nope.
For a few.
Again, my last physical disc was Far Cry 3. My first digital game was Far Cry 3, and ever since, I have not bought a disc. I only buy digital.
I think my last physical was convenient. For The Last of Us Part 2. Oh, that's my last physical.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the only 4 physical games I got right here, literally in my hand. It's too convenient, personally, for digital.
Yeah.
It's more. It works. So, you know, it was a different time though when we all jumped. But I do agree with him there. You know, it was a crucial point. Yeah. It's just
it is.
It's a lot to take in.
And he's right, but I just thought it was an interesting thought. So I don't want to drag it out too long because before we get to the community questions, I have actually 2 topics I'm super excited about. And we usually never do that. If we don't get to a topic in one podcast, we just let it drop because over the course of the next week we have enough news to have new topics. And I wanted to talk about this last week.
You're gonna have a lot to talk about next week. Trust me, you're gonna have that's right. You got the showcase.
Yes, true. But is the Asus Rog Ally? I don't know if you guys already looked into this. I definitely did. I can highly recommend the footage from the coverage from the Iron Lords. Our friends from the Iron Lords.
All over it.
Yes, absolutely. Had the chance to have a hands-on experience. So if you're remotely interested in a proper handheld, highly recommend to watch that. The Asus Rog Ally is looking on paper, of course, not out yet. Amazing. From the technical specs, they have the new AMD Ryzen Z1 APU in there. There are apparently 2 versions coming out. Yeah, one has the base version of the chip, and one has the Z1 Extreme in there, which is awesome. The handheld will have 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. It will come with a 250 or 500 gig NVMe SSD. And the chip is amazing, guys. Zen 4 CPU and RDNA 3 GPU base, up to 8-point-something teraflops on the GPU side of things. And so this is, on paper, a beast for a handheld. And the price also leaked earlier this week. It is rumored to be at the base version is around $600, and the extreme version, so that the high end one, is at $700. So for $700, you get the version with the 512 gigabytes and the extreme chip, RDNA 3, full RDNA 3 architecture on the GPU side of things, and the Zen 4 CPU. 16 gigs of RAM, incredible for a handheld. And the best part is it runs completely Windows. So not to say Windows is awesome. The thing is, you get to play all your game libraries natively. So you can run the Steam, you can run the Epic Store, you can run Xbox Game Pass there natively. And this is actually quite a big deal, because obviously the competitor to this is the Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck is great, don't get me wrong, but it's Steam. And yes, you can jailbreak it and get Xbox Game Pass to run there as well. But then I have to tell the story from a good friend of mine. He did that, and because it's not the official way to play on the Steam Deck, when he had a warranty problem, they didn't take it back because jailbreak. So this is now the first official handheld where you can very officially play all your Xbox library, not all your Xbox, but your PC library at least. So including Game Pass, of course. And that natively on the device. For that price point, gentlemen, I'm super tempted. When I told my wife this, she rolled with the eyes, but it's gonna happen. Honestly, I thought, like, man, this excitement around new hardware is what we are missing.
It brings back the Vita. It brings back the Vita vibes when we first saw the Vita or the PSP back at the time. It brings back those vibes, like just great handhelds, great options, expensive experience. I'm looking at this and I'm shocked. Like I'm blown away by it. It looks great. But then I always have this thought in the back of my mind. So as great as this is going to be, how underwhelming is the Switch 2 going to be in comparison to this? That's what's really been hitting me up back in my mind. Because I'm not expecting them to drop those $600 handheld. I'm expecting them to drop something very, very lukewarm in here. So,
I think Nintendo need to push the next cons. They need to push it a little bit more technically, but they need to push that price expectation up to about $400. I think you've released the OLED at $350. Yeah. I think if you're going to have any kind of technical advancements that are going to make a difference for them, it needs to be, and I don't want it to be more expensive, but realistically, to be a better console, it's going to have to be like
like a $500 variant.
I think mass market for Nintendo 500's pushing it, which is why I kind of say more along the 400 mark. I think mass market 400 they would probably cope with. I think 5 is a bit of a stretch.
Wasn't the Switch 400 at launch? Is my memory playing tricks on me? I'm not sure right now, but I think that was kind of like the price point. At launch,
kind of went down after they got to that point where they're not even advertising it for its main function, which is the switch between TV and portable. They started dropping just a portable version of it. For this though, I think with Nintendo's like library of games, I think they can easily sell out at 500. To be honest with you, Dutch, like the Zelda and everything. I think if they just go, hey guys, all our games are gonna have 60 FPS bump. As of right now, with this thing, they show off their next master release on it. I think they could sell it at 5.
And they don't even, for a handheld, don't even need to aim for big resolution. It's just as long as it's 1080p as a base, just 1080.
1080 and then have the station again. And that's what the Ally does. Yeah, the Ally has a 1080p screen and 120 hertz display.
OLED screen, right? No OLED screen.
No OLED screen, no. Not an OLED.
I don't expect OLED on this this new Switch right out the gate. I expect that later when they get into
probably. But still, I feel like handhelds are coming back, guys. The Steam Deck obviously being very successful. Now the Ally coming, of course. We have had other handhelds like the streaming only devices, G-Cloud and others. Obviously, that there is a certain market to it, and this Ally is what feels like the handheld to go with if you want to play Xbox on the go. So I'm really excited for it.
That's a good question. What was the battery life on the Rogue?
They have not said it yet because the official reveal is on May 11th. So that's when they have the official press reveal with release date, price, and hopefully something like the battery life. It's a question mark right now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Power as well. The Rog Ally is like the Steam Deck. You can plug it into a monitor and it turns into a computer.
Yeah.
It does. In this case, a full computer because it runs Windows. It's like. It sounds too good to be true. There has to be a catch. Maybe performance isn't where it's supposed to be or whatever. But it is really on paper.
Like 4-hour battery life with all the stuff thrown in it. I don't know.
I mean, 4 hours would be okay, man. I could.
But but how there's always gotta. You can't have too much.
You can play a Switch for like 2 hours on the battery and it's already dying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. That's true.
So, but speaking of new hardware, there was also, not particularly a new leak, but our good friend Tom Henderson came out again. And BitCloud, we have to talk about this with you, of course, about the PlayStation Pro. He earlier said this week, the PlayStation 5 Pro is definitely 100% in development at Sony. The first dev kits are being sent out soon. He reported then on Insider Gaming that they have 100% degree of certainty that the PlayStation 5 Pro is currently in development, whilst he cannot report on any more specifics at this time. He understands that the first dev kit prototypes will be going to first-party developers within the next couple of months, and with third-party developers receiving them by the end of this year. So, he has proven himself in the past, of course, like with every insider, there have been occasions where he's wrong. But this coming out like this, saying, I'm 100%. Yeah, if you're not really sure about this, you phrase it, and he's a professional, so he knows how to phrase stuff. Yeah, and then I've heard that. Or something. Yeah. But I have 100% certainty that it is in development and dev kits are going out. So, with that, of course, we assume all that the mid-gen refresh, at least from Sony, but there's no doubt in my mind that Xbox is going to do one as well. Going to come out next year.
I don't want to. I don't even want to see another piece of hardware for Xbox next year.
I don't think Sony's with this news in mind that it's 100% in development and within the next couple of months developers will get their hands on the dev kits. Then that, from a timeline perspective, would mean we're at least a year and a half to 2 years of that being unveiled as an actual console.
Yeah.
You're not going to unveil the console when developers are only just getting their hands on the dev kit.
Yeah,
unless they're being
Dutch.
strategic behind it, where they're going to have this be launched with Wolverine, Dutch. That's a good.
That's a thing. Yeah. But Xbox has announced their last two consoles, the Series X and the One X, a year in advance. The One X even almost 1.5 years in advance. They announced that in now I have to do the math in my head, in 2016 at E3, and it came out 2017 in November. So yeah, almost 1.5 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's more like when people are getting their hands on it. I'm saying it's probably another 1.5 2 years away until they get their hands on it.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I assume it's fall 2017, fall or probably November. Consoles always come out in November, so it's November 2024 for the PS5 Pro. Because I don't think that the devs have the dev kits for more than 2 years in their hands and without the console releasing, because chipset, chip design, and so on has to be ready. But what do you guys think will be the selling point of the mid-gen refresh consoles? Yeah, assuming of course Xbox has one in development as well, which I have no doubt. So last time it was 4K. What's it this time?
So I'm guessing they'll say 8K support for TVs. Maybe that'll be the big thing they'll try to say. Like
they've already got that on the box. They've already got that on the box. But
I don't think it's that. Honestly,
that 120 FPS maybe.
I think it's frame rates again. I do think that they will support one big selling point will be AI. It will be like DLSS. AMD has FSR, but FSR 1 and 2 did not work on AI base, but FSR 3 will. And it will have support for dedicated tensor cores, whatever AMD will call them. They've already confirmed that. So that is my big guess, that with the RDNA 4 architecture, they are gonna introduce
new features. I mean, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're
exactly.
gonna get more of the features that were advertised recently. I can see that just being something that Mark Cerny really wants in the box. But if there's anything I really want, you guys remember Spider-Man Miles Morales and the remake of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I remember how you had that performance ray tracing mode
yes.
that kind of just disappeared as an option afterwards.
Yeah.
I would prefer that be an option. Something that's available for everybody after with that. If they are going to go forward with this and go, okay, give you more options, that needs to be an option. That's the perfect mix. It's like 1800p ray traced at like medium settings, 60 FPS lock. That's an experience by itself that needs to be standard. Period.
I agree. That was a fantastic mode, by the way. What I do hope, honestly, but this is just me. I know that it won't happen, and probably a lot of people in the chat and our listeners will disagree. That's fine. But what I would love for them to do is not to do a 500 or 600 euro or dollar console. I want them to have like a real premium console, you know, like the $1,000 thing, which is super powerful. More like high-end PC, not
48 gigs of RAM and
something like that. You know,
you want a Steam machine.
I want a beast, you know.
We lost them. We lost them.
I want a PC with a PlayStation symbol on it. That's what I want.
Much right. You go see a big brick with a big PlayStation logo.
Yeah, but because this way you would have an actual meaningful difference. If you're gonna do another 500 euro or dollar console in 24, you will get a little faster CPU, a little better GPU. We will get but what's like the real difference? If you invest a little more, and if you look more towards what a 4080 can do these days, I'm talking that kind of thing. And next year we are already talking about a 5080. So by the time the consoles come out. So I want to be in that ballpark, because we know, for instance, that the Series X GPU is more in the ballpark of a 2070 Ti, that was like the thing. So it's a 2070 level kind of GPU when you compare it to the Nvidia cards. Yeah, and I want a
There's
console.
a drawback with that, though. To be honest with you, like that's great what you're saying, like on paper and everything, but the drawback is like how long you got for that. You know what I mean? Because this is going to be an extension, quote unquote, of the years. So how long is it going to be into we're what, in the 10th gen or 11th gen? How long it's going to be? See, that's the thing, because we're getting it this early. You know what I'm saying? And we've been in cross gen for the longest. We're just slowly now getting out of cross gen into next
slowly,
gen.
Very slowly,
yeah, very slowly. And you know, it is questionable, like, you know, what's going to happen afterwards. So I don't know, man. Like, I would hate for this pro unit to, let's say, drop next year, and then 2, maybe 3 years later they announce PS6. I would hate to see that. Like, I really
not gonna happen. I mean, last gen, look at this. The last gen lasted 8 years. 3 years into the generation, we got the PS4 Pro, and 4 years into the generation, we got the PS. The last gen lasted 7 years. Sorry, 7 years. But 4 years into the gen, we got the One X, and then 3 years later the Series X, and with the PS4, we had like 3 years till the mid gen, and then so. By this logic, we should get the PS4 or a PS5 Pro this year. That's 3 years into the gen, but who knows? Andrew Source sends in 5 Australian dollars. Thank you so much, man. He says, thanks for keeping me company as I'm listening whilst working early in OZ. Man, glad we can keep you company, and
do
hope you enjoy the conversations. So. But yeah, man, let's talk about the community questions, because we got a couple of them. I think we covered almost all. We could talk a little bit about the updates on the ABK thing, but who gives a damn?
At this rate, I don't think nobody really wants to talk about it.
No, we don't. So let's just move to the community questions, because we got a couple of good ones. So Sith Lord sends in a question and asks, hey guys, may the 4th be with you. Do you guys like Star Wars, and what is your favorite thing about it? May the 4th be with you too, man. So I'm
I'm loving it. Yes, sir. Loving the game. Love what they've done. Love the improvements. It sucks that there was some performance issues, but there was a patch that did help fix a lot of things, so it's running a lot better. So I'm happy about that. Story-wise, though, this is really, really good. I haven't beaten it yet, but I love how they were just showing like certain parts of this, like certain characters, how they were introduced. I don't know how far you are, Box. How far are you?
I'm 16 hours or so into the game.
Okay. So Dutch, no, I don't know. How far are you, Dutch? If I say anything,
I'm probably the same as Boxy, to be fair.
Okay.
About that mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no, I don't want to say it, because there's a certain scene that just blew my mind, and it was like, dude, that puts the movies to shame. So simple. How how casually they did it. You know how it introduces this particular character. It was really well done. I was like, dude, this is just. I'm loving this. Like, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Love the improvements. The new, like, the fact that you have multiple stances. It just shows how much Cal has grown as a Jedi, but also as a fighter. Like, this as a person, really, his abilities are great. Is he up there with Anakin? No, he's not. Like, they established that in the last game. He's not on the level of a Vader or nothing like that. But I'm still kind of I'm still hyped to see who else is in here. You know, they surprised us with Vader's reveal. I'm wondering if Palpatine or somebody is gonna make a cameo. That would be really cool.
That would be cool.
Higher.
Yeah.
So, but I'm loving it.
Same with you. Said it earlier. I think Cal is slowly becoming one of my favorite Star Wars characters right now in the grander Star Wars universe. He's so well written. I love the story. Absolutely fantastic. And like you said, what
he's
I like
a relatable character.
Absolutely, totally. And I have already had 2 moments actually in the game where I was like, oh, I did not expect that. And it was like great moments in the game. Absolutely. And then you start the game and you already have powers, and I love that. You already feel like a badass Jedi from the very beginning, and you just improve upon that, and that's great. So,
yep, and it adds on to what they said with Jedi. As you progress, as you learn, as you become more disciplined, you get access to more abilities, powers, and everything. And I like how they did that. They expand on it. It's natural.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, you're starting from scratch and you got to learn everything you learned from Jedi Fallen Order all over again. No, you have all that stuff. You have all the ability. So it's really pick up and play, because especially if you remember how it worked in the last one. You played the last one. You're right at home, and you're just getting lost, just going with the world. It's really well done. I love how they added dismemberment. Thank God they added that, so you can now cut up stormtroopers, or you can cut up arms. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, really good.
Absolutely. Dutch, anything you want to add?
Again, we spoke about Jedi earlier on. I absolutely love the game. The story is absolutely phenomenal. It's everything I wanted from a follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order. They've done in Jedi Survivor. From the customization to the storytelling to the world to just everything. Everything is there to be. And like I say, I'm still early into the game from what I consider, and it's already up there with yet another Game of the Year contender.
Yep. And
absolutely.
They added this effect, which surprised me. They didn't add this in Jedi Fallen Order, but you gotta change your lightsaber.
Yeah.
They all have different individual sounds.
Yeah, it makes so much sense because they have all different crystals, but the attention to detail is just awesome.
Yes. The creativity, all of it.
Absolutely. So John TJ sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. He says, make the big Xbox X symbol console again, but make it the same as the 4060 Ti for $1,200.
Big metal thing.
Yes,
I mean, they wanted like, hey, we're redeeming ourselves. We're gonna pay homage to our OG original design with our next console. I mean, that's the way to do it. I ain't gonna lie.
Man, definitely.
Make a beast.
But the thing is, though, if you watch the documentary was hilarious because that thing just never worked.
Yes,
ever. Even when they were trying to get it to work, it didn't work. They were just like, nope. This is no good.
That thing took up so much of my damn room back when I had my tube TV, like on the side of my dresser. It was so damn huge. This damn big mammoth.
Yeah.
But good time. It was good times.
It was good times. Great times. Yeah.
I wouldn't change it. Like, as much as that console gave me a pain for how, unpractical was putting everywhere. It was still a great console.
So Nerdgasm writes in a question and asks, are we really getting $70 quid euro worth of gaming since the price hike?
No.
To be fair, no. And the reason why I say that, I mean, even the games that a lot of us are, we're enjoying, and we're having fun with, a lot of these games are launching broken, incomplete, or glitched out. And therefore, that kind of already devalues the point of just paying 70. And a lot of people will go, logically, I'll just wait for a patch. You know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, I don't feel like a lot of us are getting what we're paying for at all.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting any more content than we did when they were 60. Like, if you have a look at, yes, God of War was bigger than God of War 2018, but are we getting more content than games that launched the previous year that were $60 that had more content? No, you're getting the same amount of content.
You get the same amount of content, but I guess we can just count like features like accessibility and stuff like that. I mean, sure, that's cool, but that's stuff that should be included for free for
exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Like, that's why a lot of people were being weird too when they were trying to defend. I remember when Last of Us got the remake. I was like, dude, why is that $70?
Well, that should be 40.
Yeah, it should be like at least $40 or $30, not 70, because it has some accessibility features. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't see the point. So, yeah, I agree. Not a lot of these games have been worth it. Some have been exceptions, I will say, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, I can't add anything to that. I totally agree. So Cyril writes in a question. Actually, he wrote in German, so I have to translate. He asks how my PC couch experience is going, because Dutch, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. That I I bought a very long HDMI cable so I can route from my PC over to the TV and sit on the couch and play on the couch PC gaming. I do have two issues with that. Honestly, the first is that the controllers, and I tried the PlayStation controller, I tried the Xbox controller, I tried the Xbox controller with the Xbox connecting stick, you know, not via Bluetooth, but they have this special dongle, and it's like 2 meters or so, and the connection is already bad with every controller that I tried towards my PC. So that's one thing, but the most annoying thing, and I know it's a little thing, and I googled how to do that properly, and I couldn't find an answer, is whenever I have obviously my monitor connected to the PC, and then the TV connected to the PC, and whenever I boot up my PC, it recognizes the TV as the second monitor, even though it's off. Even though the TV is off, so I always have to go to the settings and remove the second monitor or unplug it actually from the PC, and it annoys the hell out of me. So, yeah. My couch PC experience.
The only way to get around that, Boxy, and I've got a kind of thing for you, is a HDMI switch. I use one for my monitor to switch between the console and the thing, and that completely removes it. So when you click the button, it's as if it isn't plugged in at all.
That's what I was thinking now. But yeah, so
yeah,
the couch PC. That's the thing about PC. Yeah, that's why I simply prefer playing on console. Man, I just after a long day of work, I sit down, take the controller, and I can just start gaming. So, the next question, I don't know if that's an actual question, and I think Risk It for the Biscuit sent it in just to annoy the hell out of me, because I probably can't even read it properly. So, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
A woodchuck could chuck a lot of wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So a more serious question for Matt Hillier. He asks, has the general gaming community lost or muddied the definition of criticism in modern times, i.e., nothing constructive being applied, just being critical for the sake of being critical?
Yes, a lot of people are critical for the sake of views and clicks.
Yes,
for sure. Absolutely. And then we all just went through this recently, just like not too long ago on this pod about people who are not willing to ask the right questions when they need to be asked, when they're in a position that a lot of us would kill to be in, just to get the results they need to be done. That goes back to Redfall. Redfall shouldn't have dropped like this. If it would have dropped, if it would have got the proper feedback, it would have looked better. Simple. Same thing. I can say the same thing for Forspoken. If somebody got flown out for Forspoken.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I do agree. That we all do not really like to criticize, but some people do it just to get clicks, to get attention on social medias. Channels, or just to annoy people, honestly, the trolls. So yeah, giving proper criticism, constructive criticism is not easy always to do. We try to do it. I don't know if we succeed all the time, but it's definitely something we try to do on here, on our channels, all of the three of us. So, but yeah, sometimes it feels like there's just complain for the sake of complaining. So
yeah, like there are certain channels out here. I'm not going to mention them, but it doesn't matter. Like Microsoft could have had a great year this year. They would still find some way to complain and cry, or just talk down on it and just compare PlayStation or Nintendo if they can, whatever they can to push an agenda to say, hey, it's bad. It's that simple.
It is.
A lot of people have gotten to that point where it's impossible for them to just be honest. with you and say, hey, listen. And the funny thing is they build audiences to where they can't be honest. Like they give, for once they be honest to the audience, guess what? The audience hit dislike and they go, oh, you know what? I've shawed the light. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about touchdown. But dude was like, hey, I saw the light. I saw the light because I can't. I don't like this game now. You guys are right. You guys are honest. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yep.
So
it is.
You have to have your own opinions. It's, if you guys want to try a game, try it out. You know what I'm saying? That's why we all say it. If you what might not be our cup of tea might be your cup of tea. You might find some enjoyment. And if you find enjoyment of it, guess what? Enjoy it. Don't let nobody tell you it's not a good game. That's
absolutely.
It's The Order 1886. I had people hate that game for so many reasons.
I did enjoy that.
I thought that was one of the best games in terms of originality and creativity, and in terms of zombie. The
setting was fantastic. Yes.
I want a sequel to that. I like that, but a lot of people are like, that game was mid. Me, hey man, that's on you. I thought the game was a fantastic tech demo, and it could have gone so much better. Great.
Absolutely. So, last question of the day from Saeed Dawar Hussein. He asks, my question is, are we having pineapple pizza today?
Never.
Every week. Every week they keep asking the same questions, and it's always going to be the same answer. Absolutely not.
Exactly.
The only pizza I'm eating, Chief, is a pepperoni, a cheese, or a damn Supreme.
Yes. Pepperoni, salami, proper cheese topping, and then
sir, give me a Supreme, a proper Supreme, or a authentic pepperoni. Yes. We get to go. I'm not rocking no pepperoni on anything. I can't
my kids love to have corn.
Well. I like chicken tikka pizza.
You said what? Chicken pizza?
Chicken tikka.
Yeah,
chicken tikka is also My kids love to have corn on their pizza, and I was like, I don't know, but it kind of grew on me.
Chicken and corn. Yeah. Chicken and corn pizza is usually good.
I never heard of that. Yeah. Okay.
So
you don't like barbecue pizza?
Well, barbecue it can be. But sometimes the problem, especially in the UK, the problem they've got is they replace the tomato base with barbecue sauce.
Yes,
exactly. I know. That's how they usually do it with barbecue.
Yeah. So
then it's a bit overpowering, and then you're like, nah, I'd rather have the barbecue chicken on a regular tomato base.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's fine, but not barbecue chicken and barbecue base. It's a bit too overpowering.
People always think I don't like pineapple. I love pineapple. Pineapple is a great fruit.
I don't like it on pizza.
Exactly, Jets. I don't like it on pizza. So
think about it: pineapples and cheese.
Ugh. That's why I don't like the cocktail sticks where they put pineapple and pickles on. I'm like, why? This isn't a mix that goes. Why'd you keep doing it?
It doesn't look appetizing. Now Now give me a jalapeno, spicy pepperoni pizza. We can rock with something like that. Sure, I'll deal with that. That works. Jalapenos on the pizza, absolutely.
Yes.
Pepperoni, yes. Crushed red pepper flakes, yes. Give me all that stuff.
Yeah.
But some mushrooms, some onions, bell peppers, the works.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. No fruit on pizza. So I've seen recently someone post a picture with a kiwi on a pizza. So I was like,
no.
Nah.
Taco pizza? Oh Lord. I'm good.
All right. But with that, let's wrap this show up, guys. It's been a blast. BitCloud, thank you so much for jumping in so spontaneously. It was a blast to have you on again. Usually I have the links of our guests in the show notes. I will put them in there later. But for now, you have to tell them where they can find you and what you've coming up, man.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to the bros. I was, glad I caught you live. I've been off the show for a couple weeks. I was like, I got to chop it up with him. So it's always good to talk. Again, You guys can find me BigCloud Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. You can also find me because I'm a writer. I do writing for lordsofgaming.net. You can find me there, and yeah, all over. I'm all over the place, man. You know, DMs are open, so feel free to message me. The works, man. That's how it be. Or I'm also gaming and platinuming because I'm a platinum junkie, of course.
Yeah.
Nice. So.
Nice. So again, I will put your links for convenience in the show notes later. But yeah, man, it's been a blast. I always love the conversations with you. So well thought out. So appreciate you coming on, man. And
Dutch, I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
Dutch, what do you have coming up, man?
You know what it was? Dutch was doing the sad face. I'm like, you know what? Let me come in and cheer the guy up. We got you. Yeah. I gotta meet up with you guys at Gamescom. I gotta do that. That's what I'm gonna yank Dutch's beard. I'm gonna take it with me back home.
You're coming to Gamescom?
When is it? What month?
In August.
It's in August. I'm gonna see if I can. Because I'm going on vacation in July. So we're on a cruise and everything.
Well, Gaz is joining us as well. We've managed to convince Gaz to come. So there's another.
Oh God, he's gonna be singing. It's not. Listen, if he starts singing an auto tune in the damn hotel, I'm dude. No. What so I know, dude. Stop it. Stop.
Oh dear me.
Shout the guess.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've of course like now I'm freed up a little bit. You can find me probably live streaming a few games now over the weekend. We've got a bank holiday again this weekend in the UK because of the royal coronation. Obviously, I'm not a royal supporter, but I'll definitely take the free day off.
The day off, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll take the day off. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing probably a little bit of live streaming over the weekend, some gaming, and just catching up on playing games because, of course, last few weeks have just been primarily making sure the showcase was up and ready and out and things like that. So,
congrats on it too. It was great, man.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it as well. We've got some awesome people lined up for the next one. For those watching here that hasn't heard about that, the already 4 of the people lined up that are taking part in the second showcase in September. ACG, Miles Dompier, BitCloud. Not BitCloud. I was going to say BitCloud. No BitCloud.
Mr. Bad Bit
from Room. And Lord Cognito are all going to be in the second one. Of course, we've also looking at getting special guests lined up, and those are probably going to be confirmed closer to the time. Of course, with a lot of things in the works and showcases and things coming up, there's a little bit more predominant things in the way of between my showcase and their showcases. So
yeah.
We'll see that announcement will come soon, but
yeah, you nailed the just the tone for it. It was really great.
Yes.
I could tell Aaron Greenberg was like super pleased with it, so that was awesome to see it. So I'm happy for him.
I didn't expect him to go out of his way and use the recording studio, so that was like another surprise for me as well. Of course, last year he just recorded it on his phone, and this year he went out of his way, went into the recording studio and recorded a full segment. So yeah, it's awesome to get that level of support from Xbox, and of course, in an ideal world, I'd be able to kind of reach out to PlayStation and Nintendo and get their indie guys involved as well. But that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's bigger and better, and of course the feedback from everybody involved, whether those who watched it, those that took part, that only goes to making future showcases better. So that's I super appreciate everybody that's given feedback to it, and thankfully the one thing that people loved was the pacing. So pacing will stick that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in case anyone has not watched it yet, the link is still in the description of the show, so just click there. And TJ, I see you in the chat. I just wanted to let Wandering Dutch finish. I do not want to forget the last super chat.
Just want to throw it out here for Dutch. Dutch, you keep this up, dude. I can see you literally helping Jeff Keighley with Game Awards.
Yeah.
I really do think you got the talent to do that. It's really good.
Thank you.
Give it up, man. Give it up, brother.
Appreciate
Absolutely. I do agree.
The transitions, the music selection. I really felt like I was watching a PlayStation directed show or a Xbox intro show.
Yeah,
it's
super professional. The presentation was really like very, very high standard. So job well done. Can't wait for the next one, man. Can't wait for the next one.
That's it. So we get Phil on next. Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
keep going,
there you
man.
go.
Right?
There you go.
Work your way up.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And we have to get Shuhei on there as well.
Yeah, that's ultimately, and he's such a cool guy. I'd love to get him on. I'd love to, because he's such a cool guy.
Absolutely.
He's a really big respected name.
Yeah,
but he's also in charge of PlayStation's indie games and their creative stuff.
Super busy. But what I love about him, the fact that he's super busy, it doesn't stop him from replying to you or giving you an answer type of thing. Like, the dude's really, really cool.
Yeah,
awesome. Like, he's up there with Jack Tritton, who I had the privilege of being linked up with. So that was another cool thing. But yeah, awesome guy.
Absolutely. So with that, let me shout out the last super chat that came in from Tronty J. Thank you, man. He says, I'm listening to the Food Network by you guys. And we always love to give some recommendations here on how to not eat your pizza. Yeah,
we're the Gordon Ramsays of pizza.
there
you
go.
Muppet! What is that?
So, but let me thank you, not just Tronty J, but everyone who sent in a super chat today. Super appreciate the support. Let me also thank everyone who listened here live with us. Of course, it's always a blast to talk gaming, not just with my great co-host Wandering Dutch and our fantastic guests this today with BitCloud, of course. But I love this community. I truly do. You guys are the reason why we do that. We love to see the interactions you have here in the chat and all the support you show us. It truly means a lot. And you guys rock big time. I need to say that. And also, a big thank you to everyone who listens on the podcast services, of course, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Thank you. We do hope you had a great time. We most certainly did. And next week, we will, of course, be back with a new world of gaming. But for now, don't forget to game on.